The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
So now we're all conspiracy theorists. Leftists say it was a hoax. Progressives say it was a total hoax to give Trump some kind of new support so he can win the election. Conservatives, they're like, you know what? Someone's trying to kill Trump. This was real, but it was an inside job. Welcome home. We're all conspiracy theorists now. By design.
Disinformation and conspiracy theories about the attack are already swirling on social media.
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news.
Hey, look at this! Donald Trump! Taking down Michigan! Oh, my God!
We are fighting the fake news.
And at the end of the day, with our leader up there, my hero, that gladiator, we're going to bring America back together. One real American at a time, brother.
It's fake, phony, fake.
And for the people out there that don't understand how false flags work, they hear this stuff and they hear us talking about it being scripted, and then they say, ask the victim, ask the family members. A false flag is an operation, is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility. The source of responsibility is your own government, the left and the right working together. It doesn't mean that there weren't shots actually fired and there weren't actually victims.
I wish the fake news back there would show it. I wish they'd spin their cameras and show it, because nobody would believe it.
It will increase distrust. It will lead to more conspiracy. The internet will take it in an entirely different direction. Regardless of what the official outcomes and official reports are, the internet, it has its own mind. It has its own mind.
Perhaps I'm just projecting my own concern about it. Some truth in what I say. You don't mind talking about it, do you, Dave?
I would just say that all of us need to be very careful what we say. We have the Republican convention starting tomorrow, and we should not. One of the things I think that we should be very careful of, and I said it on my show this morning, is that we cannot encourage or participate in these conspiracy theories.
Well, don't be a conspiracy theorist, guys.
You have people that have come up with all kind of conspiracies on what happened yesterday. We should all support a very thorough, real investigation and not chase or distribute conspiracy theories that somebody gets on TikTok or social media and has all of us avoiding our responsibility in not normalizing this climate.
If you don't believe what we're selling you, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Don't believe everything you see on social media. Actually do your own fact checking.
And somebody reads it and they think, oh, 9 people, they have 9 sources. They make up sources.
Yeah, be skeptical, since the attempted assassination conspiracy theories have spread like wildfire.
Our Daniela Ibarra spoke with a political science professor from UTSA who says that it's important to listen and also debunk them. And a new report based on leaks by Edward Snowden reveals new details of how Western spy agencies manipulate information online. Writing at theintercept.org, Glenn Greenwald describes the tactics of a secret unit inside Britain's top spy agency called JTRIG, or Joint Threat Research Intelligence Group.
J-Trig's self-identified goals are to discredit targets by posting fake material, including, for example, fake blog posts purporting to be a target's victim, and to manipulate online discourse. A newly revealed document titled Disruption Operational Playbook lists tactics like false flag operation or posting material online, then falsely attributing it to someone else.
Debunk them.
The targets appear to include those suspected of hacktivism, meaning online acts of political protest. Quote, the broader point, Greenwald writes, is that these surveillance agencies have vested themselves with the power to deliberately ruin people's reputations and disrupt their online political activity, even though they've been charged with no crimes and even though their actions have no conceivable connection to terrorism or even national security threats.
Debunk them.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
UTSA professor John Taylor says he saw conspiracies pop up in minutes. Where do these conspiracy theories come from?
Often they come from people not understanding the facts, trying to grasp at what's going on, trying to understand details of a situation that is, in many respects, so big that it's hard to fathom.
Where do these conspiracy theories come from?
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Where do these conspiracy theories come from?
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
I'm not going to give you a question. Can you state kind of? You are fake news, sir.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report? That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Why do you think it's so important that we talk about these conspiracy theories?
It's important because it needs to see the light of day.
CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox.
It needs to see the light of day.
Sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
People on both sides of the aisle claim the shooting was orchestrated by the other party.
We're all conspiracy theorists now, by design.
Okay, so let's go back to what people can actually do so that they can discern fact from fiction. He has some advice for people because he says fact check.
Yeah, so we asked Professor Taylor about that. He actually has a website that he has his students go to. It's called allsides.com, and he says it gives viewpoints from both the left, center, and the right, and that's something he recommends that everyone goes and looks at.
Yeah, and also trusted news sources.
Yes.
Yes. And also trusted news sources.
Yes.
Push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
Do you have have any people paid by the CIA?
Yes.
Yes. Very important. I mean, you want to be able to trust the people that you see on TV and the people that you read and things like that. Be skeptical of what you see on social media.
Jay Trigg's self-identified goals are to discredit targets by posting fake material, including, for example, fake blog posts purporting to be a target's victim, and to manipulate online discourse.
Yeah, and I mean, we vet everything. We go through several layers before we present it to you on TV. Yeah, and I mean, we vet everything. We go through several layers before we present it to you on TV.
The video in question first appeared on ABC's Sunday evening broadcast.
This video right here appearing to show Turkey's military bombing Kurd civilians in a Syrian border town.
Compounding the era, Tom Yamis then tossed to foreign correspondent Ian Pennell, who voiced over the same video.
This video, obtained by ABC News, appears to show the fury of the Turkish attack on the border town of Tal Abyad 2 nights ago.
Almost immediately, the website Gizmodo reported that Twitter users were comparing the ABC video to YouTube video from a Kentucky gun range. The ABC video also appeared to have been altered.
Yeah, and I mean, we vet everything. We go through several layers before we present it to you on TV.
Paid by the CIA, who are working for television networks.
Now, I also mentioned too that a fellow that has been in touch with me for an awful long time, his brother was in the CIA, or is in the CIA. He will never talk about the CIA to him. He'll never give anything away whatsoever, except one bit of advice. He said, never watch the television. Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain give access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone with a TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see. As Charles Galton, Darwin and others have said in the past. It becomes you, you become it. And that's what's happened. It's been very, very, very successful. Never watch the television. You can't watch a movie unless you do it critically. If you watch it critically, not there to enjoy it. Remember what they say, it's your emotions that get you on. And it's interwoven, all these emotional themes all through movies. You're played like a harp. And they embed ideas into you, along with the movies. And predictive programming too. So you'll accept that which is still to come. And you'll behave the same way as the characters in the movie when it comes. Oh well, what can you do? I'll just watch much music or television. Yeah. You're given a mind of your own, and you've got to use it for yourself. And believe you me, if you ever had a nation or wanted a nation, you'd have to make sure that everyone took their turn. Everyone took their turn. Just like jury duty, to go in and oversee the guys that are supposed to be taking care of everything on your behalf. It's a tight club right now. It's been like that forever, because they never intended to give you anything called democracy, or, in fact, a republic. Gangs and fraternities run the systems of the countries. That's how they're run. And under taxation, and it's true what Marx said, and it's true what Lenin said about that part of it, all wealth comes from labor. And tax is another term for labor. When they take your labor from you and give you nothing back for it, that's called stealing and slavery. Slavery, folks. But no teacher told you that, did they? Look at the dictionaries, you can find an old enough one, because they keep changing them too.
I would tell her, look, it's all made up. There's zero chance of that. But she believes what she sees on television.
Yeah, also, people are telling you exactly what you want to hear. Be skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. News tells you all sides.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
All right, now Professor Taylor tells Danielle it's important not to believe everything you see on social media. He says you should do your own fact checking to make sure the information you're looking at is accurate. In other words, be very skeptical.
Be very skeptical.
This is an important video so you can see how this entire thing is staged. The thing that came out of this event that's just as important as the so-called attempt on Donald Trump's life is the photographs that have come out of this event, because the photographs induce the psychosis that you see going on around you. Now, we've all heard people out there talk about how the media is the enemy of the people.
And they are. They are the enemy of the people.
The same people who say that the media is the enemy of the people believe the things that they're shown on the news, because their perception of the news and everything we've been told about the news, despite the talking heads and the opinions that they give, is that they give us the news. They inform us on events that occur. What people don't realize is the media is the enemy of the people because they manufacture the events that occur to form a perception in your mind of what is real and what is not.
So I'm not against the media. I'm not against the press.
I'm not against the media. I'm not against the press.
Look at the photographer here. Watch him be told by Secret Service that this is about to go down so they could position him to take these now iconic, quote unquote, photos.
Happened to our country, probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's sad, take a look at what happened to our country, probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's sad, take a look at what happened.
He is pumping his fist, but clearly Secret Service wants to get him out of this situation. He is attempting to stand and walk on his own. He has got his hand pumping in the air. His fist is pumping in the air, but quickly they are removing him from the stage. This is happening very quickly. We are trying to ascertain what happened, but
So if you followed him around, you saw that he got the cue from the Secret Service. Why else would the Secret Service tell this guy to move positions to go and take photographs? Why would the Secret Service care at all about a man standing there with a camera to take photographs? Is that their main concern, is photographs? Of course not.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA
Now take a look. He's waiting to get confirmation from a Secret Service member. And take a look here. You're going to see it clearly. There he is right there. Tells him, go. Get ready for that money shot. Another individual here as well.
Take a look at what happened.
And there you go. And as I showed previously, this is where he works his way from the right. There he is. Perfect timing, obviously, again, to make that money shot.
We record when we deal with reporters. It's called fake news. And we solve a lot of problems with the good old recording instrument.
He was doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I get some beautiful places to go to the ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
elected.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals.
While the president gives his speech, the agents live in a parallel world. A world of intense vigilance.
Criminals.
Each agent plays a role in securing the 360-degree safety zone. They scan for the individual who does not fit in, who is doing something different.
We have criminals, we have drug dealers, we have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much.
Say, George, have you seen a fox around here, George? A fox? Yeah, a little red one.
About my size?
Yeah.
With a long bushy tail?
Yeah.
Oh, him. He just passed here.
Well, which way did it go, George?
Right
here,
right
on the roof.
Well, I tell you what you do. You go down to that old tree stump and turn right until you come to a rail fence. You'll find him right on the other side. You can't miss him.
Just beyond the boundaries of the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Can't miss him.
Law enforcement believe this video shows crooks, and we're now learning about 20 minutes passed between the time security service snipers first spotted crooks.
Well, thanks a lot, George. Thanks a lot. Right here, right on the roof.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit. He's going down!
Stay under here. He's on top of the roof. Don't go over there.
You know, that was the fox.
Someone who was here, you weren't inside the event, nope, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, you know, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up. And probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, I mean, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
That's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof right there.
Did you get a look at him? Could you?
No, other than he was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl. I mean, we saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, I absolutely know about guns, for sure. No, I mean, it was a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but,
sure. But
it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you process what you've just seen?
I don't know what to say, man. All I'll tell you is, if I walked up close to there with anything that Secret Service considered a problem, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. But I don't know why a guy who we're standing there pointing out to police and Secret Service is crawling up the roof.
Were you outside the security perimeter?
Yes, right there by that tree. We were outside the security perimeter. But my question is, there's only a few buildings around here. Why is Secret Service not at every building here?
Well, there's a whole bunch of questions, I think, that are going to come.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
The Trump flag on the horse?
Yes, she was right in front of me. She kept going back and forth right in front of me. Yes.
Tell us about her.
I mean, nice horse, nice lady running with a flag. Seemed very, patriotic.
But what's the significance of her?
No, he asked me if I saw a horse.
Okay. All right, well, listen, I'm sorry you had to witness that. That was a terrible thing. And you just stay safe with your family and
Gotcha.
Thanks for your time. Man.
Americans have a hard time believing that, lone wolves or lone nuts can actually take out a president.
I'm a former military man myself, so I know a little bit about security. Let me explain something to you about this situation and just how curious it is. Okay? Curious is the word I'm going to use, maybe even interesting. These events are organized, they're structured, they're planned days in advance. There are no pop-up rallies. No. They are highly coordinated events between law enforcement and Secret Service agents. They'll get to the area, they'll scope it out, find all the hot spots, whether the clear lines of sight, the perch positions. They'll never allow open windows or anything like that. They learned all this from the Kennedy days. That's why you don't have assassination attempts that often at rallies, ever really, because they learned a lot from the Kennedy days. And so what they'll do is they'll scope the area out. In fact, they'll look at all the hot spots. They'll look at all the perch positions, rooftops especially. They don't even like rooftops. But what's curious about this situation is the very position the shooter was in, they would have 2 or 3 agents in full battle rattle, security personnel up on that position. Yes, you heard me. The very position that shooter was on. That's very curious to me.
50 feet away from us. So we're standing there and, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. I'm standing there pointing at him.
This is crazy.
2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
My husband once almost got shot by the Secret Service. I was speaking at the NRA, and he snaked in and came down. And they didn't know who he was. And they were like, freeze, 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 freeze. So you're telling me that guy walked up and he's pointing and he's saying, this guy's got a gun, this guy's got a gun, and they're pretending they don't know what's going on? Do you guys actually believe this was a failure in intelligence?
Be very skeptical.
And there are 2 things happening when they hurled him off the stage. One, Secret Service does something that's very curious. They pause and let him get his shoot. That wouldn't have happened, folks. No way, no how. They could care less about what articles of clothing you lose. They will slam you to the floor like a rag doll and then pile on top of you and drive you out of there in the lowest profile possible in 5 to 7 seconds. That's actually how they're trained to do it.
Get that son of a bitch.
Let me get my shoes. Hold on, your head bloody. So we gotta move to the classroom.
And the guy says, oh, something about his head, it's bloodied. He says it again, let me get my shoes. 4 times he says, let me get my shoes. Because I'm a homeless man and I only have 1 pair of shoes. And I can't afford to buy another pair of shoes. And that's all I'm worried about. I've just nearly been murdered, but it's my shoes that I care about. What a load of bullshit. Let me get my shoes.
Let me get my shoes.
And the second thing is they will never let you wait and pause for a photo and rear your head. That would never happen, folks. Never, never, never.
They endlessly repeat hundreds of maneuvers to create a Pavlovian response, a muscle memory, the right reaction to a situation the agents hope will never happen.
It's not a, let me stop and think about this for a minute, and then make a decision. It is a reaction that comes from just the constant, repetitive training.
Fake. Don't we love that term, fake? What we've learned about fake over the last little while. Fake news.
The thing that came out of this that most everybody saw is the photograph of Trump holding his fist in the air. You may remember this clip that I played in one of my earlier videos where Donald Trump, after supposedly being shot, is more focused on telling the Secret Service who are grouped around him to wait, so he can get these photographs taken of him because they know how important these photographs are to the mind control that they're putting people under. Look. And what's really important to note, not only is Donald Trump telling everybody to wait, a lot of the media that's out there now has scrubbed the audio of Donald Trump telling everybody to wait. Luckily, I got that in real time and downloaded it, so I have it on my computer, and I can use that and show it to you. But other media outlets who are showing this clip over and over and over again have actually cut the wait out. They don't want people to think all of a sudden that this could be something. Why is this something that Donald Trump is thinking about after being shot? He's not thinking about getting to safety, getting off stage, getting to his children, his wife. He's thinking about a photograph, right? Because the photograph is what puts you in the state of psychosis. So that brings me to this.
Happened to our country, probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said,
be skeptical.
Be very skeptical.
There are a few things that make this very clearly staged, in my opinion. The first thing is that there's no blood on Trump's right hand. Can you imagine if you got shot in the ear while you were grandstanding at a political rally? And you're telling me that Trump's not going to grab his ear with his hand? We see him grab his ear in the initial moments, yet there's no blood on his hand.
When it comes to the blood, like the video doesn't really show blood, but supposedly the pictures do. So you can kind of see it. There's blood on his hand in the picture here. So this has got the bullet right here. Then he reaches for his ear. Then there's blood. So supposedly there was blood, and you just can't see it on the video.
Boy, punch in a calico kitten. I have 19 screens here. I can't see one calico kitten.
We have a small calico kitten, sir. Calico.
What?
The president wants a white one.
He wants a white one.
How soon do you think we'll be able to get this cut?
Oh, we're going to be done in about 4 or 5 hours.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report that the young Albanian national fleeing in this video is attempting to escape terrorist reprisals in her village. America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of the human race than that which armed conflict.
Fantastic.
When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me.
Be very skeptical.
Boy, punch in a calico kitten.
Don't be suspicious. No. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Dude, if this is all real, think about the amount of coincidences, bro. Like, supposedly, just luckily, there was someone taking pictures with 8,000 frames per second directly during this moment. I mean, what does that do? Just plan on changing his memory card the entire... he came with 30 memory cards. He's just going to change his memory card the entire rally. He's just going to take pictures at the very beginning, fill up his memory card, and leave. Why would you be taking pictures at 8,000 frames per second? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a photographer. I don't know. That sounds like something you would do if you were going to try to catch a bullet on camera. You know? But it's just like there's so many statistical improbabilities here. That's why everyone that thinks it's real, they're just defaulting to God did it.
But again, if we're back here, again with my, so I think you can see that puff right there. See that? Oops, sorry. And puff. Puff. Puff.
See something that said, take a look what happened. See something that said, take a look what happened. What happened.
Okay, so we all agree we just saw the rail clearly get hit, right? There was a shot, and it hit right here. Like, everyone can agree. We heard a shot right whenever the rail gets hit, right? We can all agree on that.
See something that said, take a look what happened. See something that said, take a look what happened. What happened? Take a look what happened.
Watch this guy at the same exact time as this guy.
Take a look what happened.
Okay, so for the coping, he isn't just ducking because he heard a shot. He's falling like he got hit by a bullet. Hey, tell me why we hear one gunshot and 2 people are getting hit, or there are 2 impacts of bullets. Now, for there to be 2 shooters, they are synchronized, right? That's like very impressive synchronization. But like, or this could all be fake. And like, they got their roles mixed up or whatever. But we see an actual bullet lander here. So for it's all fake people. It's like, does this guy have something that's going to make it look like a bullet at the same time? Seems highly unlikely. Is this a non-lethal round that shoots over here? Who knows? Are there real bullets and it's fake, as in Trump didn't get hit, but they're going to shoot in the crowd for real? Who knows?
You want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
So he's been hit, and also it's on his right side. So, and if you see how he's oriented, he's all the way up against the back with his right side tipped towards the back. So this is as high up as you can get. Now, if that gentleman was struck by the same bullet that took Trump's ear, that means that thing must have been on a rising trajectory, because Trump's at 10 feet. And then further back, this guy, his chest is probably at 13, 14 feet. It's higher in the air. That would have been more consistent with a shot fired from lower down that was then rising, instead of a shot fired from the roof, which would have been declining and coming down.
Really, really hard. on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood.
Punching a calico kitten.
You can kind of see it. There's blood on his hand in the picture here. So this has got the bullet right here. Then he reaches for his ear. Then there's blood. So supposedly there was blood, and you just can't see it on the video.
Just absolutely blood all over the place. My hand was covered with blood. Just absolutely blood all over the place.
Yet there's no blood on his hand.
My hand was covered with blood. Just absolutely blood all over the place.
Yet there's no blood on his hand.
My hand was covered with blood. Just absolutely blood all over the place.
Yet there's no blood on his hand.
Just absolutely blood all over the place. And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body. For whatever reason, the doctors told me that. I said, why is there so much blood? He said, it's the ears. They bleed more. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body.
All right, this is supposedly his ear. I don't even know where, like, how do you have, okay, you have this, like, this dried up, it looks dry already, but you have this blood right here. Is this a wound? Why is there such a, like, concentration of blood right here? If that's a wound, he doesn't have an ear anymore because the 5.56 had to hit the front of his ear, which means all this part of his ear is gone. So you have a bunch of blood here, a bunch of blood here, a bunch of blood up here. Did it graze him right here? Then why is there a pool of blood right here? Right? Like, I don't understand. Have they even released the official claim as to where he was struck? No. Now there's claims of how he's actually missing part of his ear. They haven't even told you the official wound yet.
You serious?
Everyone would put their life on it. They're 100% sure they know it's real. And no one even knows where the wound is. No one's even seen it. This is the best we got. And I just want to understand, someone enlighten me. If this is the wound, then how does he still have an ear? Are we just slow now? This can't be the injury wound. And if it is the injury wound, why is there no blood up here, but all this blood back here? To me, that just looks super sketchy. I'm just saying.
First of all, it's not continuing to bleed. The bleeding apparently magically stopped as soon as he got up. Also, the blood doesn't seem to act like real human blood. I think any of us who've been cut can look at this ear and see that blood doesn't work like this. I think they had some liquid blood that they squirted, and you can see it dripping down in 3 directions. One is down into the ear, the second is across his face, and the third is a little bit lower across his face. But the key trick here, as far as the blood goes, is the putty-like goo blood that they put around the exterior of the top of his ear. I think the idea here was to make it look like a serious wound that was bleeding profusely. And if you just squirt a bunch of liquid blood, you run the risk of it coming off and showing that there's no real wound there. I think this is another reason why Trump has no blood on his hand, because he didn't want to mess up the fake blood movie magic. You don't want all the blood to come off and people to see that you weren't actually shot. Also, I'm amazed at the level of sellouts in the so-called alternative media who have no skepticism and just believe whatever they're shown. Really pathetic. But it really doesn't surprise me, given that they've been pushing poison on you for years and years and years and years.
Just a quick video showing Donald Trump's supposed ear being blasted. Couple points. Blood inside his ear. Can you see his earlobe being absolutely obliterated? It's amazing how a bullet from 200 yards away just clips his ear and doesn't hit any other part of his freaking face. Hair untouched, no blood on his hair, amazingly. I mean, really, no blood on his hair? Just around his ear. But where this all gets unveiled as bullshit, okay, here it is, guys. This guy was facing towards his right, okay, left on the screen. He was facing the other way. The bullet has come from here and gone here and hit him there, okay? You understand? He's facing that way. The bullet would have gone and hit his ear and gone further that way. How the fuck do we have the blood streak there and streak there if the bullet has gone past there, hit his ear and kept going, and amazingly doesn't go anywhere near his hair and his face? Okay, the bullet going that way, blood goes down here, down there. But sorry, he was facing towards his right, and the bullet is coming from that direction. It goes past here, hits his ear, and keeps going. How do we have that streak there and streak there with the gap between his ear? What, it hits the ear and comes backwards? Yeah, people are going to say, yeah, that's what happens when you get blasted here. It comes backwards and, you know, a bit of a gap there, but it makes a streak there and a streak there. Bullshit. This was placed by his security people when he ducked down, and they spent about 30 seconds or more farting around with his ear. But thank God, never put a smidgen of blood on any part of his fucking hair. Isn't that amazing?
Like, I'm saying, maybe I can't even think of, like, I don't know. I would, if this is the entry wound, I'm confused how there would be any wounds back here. Because that means that the bullet had to come in at an angle going away from his head, right? It would have to come in. How did it just seems so incredibly unlikely? Like, it's so crazy, and they're not even putting pressure on it. You wouldn't be able to see this dude's ear if he really got shot in the ear, in my opinion, unless everyone involved is super stupid, and that is possible.
It looks very paste-like. It looks like they have some blood-colored goo they put on the perimeter of his ear. Why would all the blood be on the top right of his right ear? Like that? Where exactly are they saying he got hit? And how does this blood pattern make any sense? There's a big blob right above his ear canal. And then there's this blob of goo, colored like blood.
He has pictures of today with the bandage on. Solves your question, but that literally doesn't solve my question. Like, the bandage is the exact opposite of solving my... I'm saying we haven't got to see the wound. They haven't even officially said what happened.
Just to be clear, they're saying that Trump had his ear hit off camera, and nobody can see any blood. Had his ear hit off camera, and nobody can see.
Someone was like, he was leaning down. Now there's a way better shot. This dude got shot with a .556 round in his right ear, and not one drop of blood on his white shirt. Not one single drop of blood is on the collar of his white shirt. Have you guys ever cut your ear? It bleeds profusely, man.
And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body.
Yet there's no blood on his hand.
To me, it just seems super logical there'd be blood all over his shirt.
See any blood until all these Secret Service agents and or make up any blood on... The second thing that tells me this is staged is how deliberately his right ear is blocked from view until he gets back up and shows the whole world his bloodied ear. I don't find this plausible, but it makes a ton of sense when you think about camera angles, stage magic, and where he was supposed to have been shot. It would have been too hard to fake this on the live feed. His ear getting shot. all the movement involved, the blood involved. So the executive decision, it seems, was made to have that off camera. And also, as far as this misdirection goes, it seems like they very deliberately started all the clips in such a way that you can't tell that he just directed the audience's attention at the sign over at the right. This is magician-type misdirection, and it's been carefully and deliberately scrubbed from the record. All the clips start with him just moments before he gets shot. No context at all. Saying, and if you want to see something really sad, which could have very well been the cue for the shots to fire off. You want to see something very sad. Somebody in the chat points out, that's neurolinguistic programming right there. You want to see something really sad. Think about how many people heard that before their favorite idol got the head wound. That's what they believe anyway. Now his excuse is that he's looking to his right and there's a sign over there. And he's indicating the sign over there to the crowd. But to me, this is the perfect cover so that they can buy some time until his ear can be bloodied up. By directing everybody's attention, misdirection, to the sign over at the right, everybody who was filming the event turned their camera to the sign. The media cameras, which were looking straight ahead at Trump, watch very closely how he ducks and covers, very deliberately trying to hide his right ear from the camera. To me, this makes it obvious that this is choreographed ahead of time, and that the point was to not have to fake anything on live video. To not have to fake anything from the front. Because they would have to fake it moving, becoming bloody, etc., etc. So I think the plan was, Trump, you look to the right, shots are going to go off, grab your ear and then fall to the ground. Make sure that your right ear stays blocked from the cameras. And before we shoot the shots, direct everybody's attention, the classic magician's misdirection, to this big chart that we'll put up on the right side. And then the building that the shooter was on will be to the right, so that the angles can be explained away. It's just happenstance that this was all off camera, they'll say.
Chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's sad, take a look at what happened.
So no blood on the hands. The right ear, which is the ear that was ultimately shot, apparently, was completely turned away from the main cameras. And everybody's attention was drawn away to that chart, minimizing the chance of any amateur footage. The third thing is the lack of concern about first aid or security post-shooting. There was no compression being done to his ear. He apparently didn't even touch his ear with his hand. There was no attempt to do compression. There was no attempt to bandage it or anything. He just walks out, and it's a very stark contrast in the initial moments. In the initial moments, they went way out of their way to hide his right ear. Misdirection, turning to the side. Even when he's falling to the ground, he's turned to the side, making sure to hide that right ear. He doesn't look around. He falls down, keeping that right ear hidden. I believe this was choreographed. Also, I believe if Trump was in live fire and had been shot in the head, he wouldn't have acted like that. He would have made a beeline for the door. He would have ducked his head down. The Secret Service would not have acted the way that they did. They would have shuffled him out of there. So the behavior after the shot doesn't make any sense. But it was great for the photo ops. And great for the ultimate operation here, which is to make Trump look like a hero. But again, I think that the bloodied ear really was the jump the shark moment here. They wanted to sell this assassination as real so badly that they made the executive decision that he had to sustain damage to his head. To me, the angles here don't make any sense. The motive is too clear. This isn't even so much about Trump, who does stand to gain a lot from this. This is about the world stage, of which Trump is a key player.
I want to point out a macro point. They're like, what do you get out of this? He was already beating Biden. What? According to the official numbers, he was barely beating him. And now tons of people that were on the fence are moving over to Trump. Now he's vindicated as a hero. Now all the Q supporters have allegedly been vindicated. Now people really believe the deep state is trying to get Trump. Now he's blowing the dude out in the quote unquote polls. What do they get out of it? Are you kidding me? Like, that's such a cope question to say, oh, he was already beating Biden. You mean barely, whenever the narrative is that you can't trust the election anyway. It can be stole if it's within close parameter. But anyway, here's what they really get out of it. Okay, this is why I'm very open to it being faked. The thousands of really weird things that don't add up. But also, okay, so you got this happen with Trump. Then Trump names his VP Vance, who comes out immediately saying, we need to attack Iran. And when we hit Iran, you don't just barely hit them. You need to hit them hard. We have the vice president, this dude that's married to an Indian chick and super, super pro-Zionist, pro-Israel. I will be the most pro-Israel VP ever, blah, blah, blah. Just a clown. Just a complete clown. Trump just named him vice president after this assassination attempt, right? And then he comes out talking about how we need to hit Iran really hard. Now, if you don't know, that I think the world stage is all scripted. That is just World War III, obviously. If you attack Iran, then you attack Russia and you attack China, right? Like, as far as we can tell on the world stage. We all know this coming. It's been scripted and pre-programmed for years. Iran. Iran will be last. Iran is no pushover. Whatever, right? I mean, some theories are that Iran isn't part of like the international like cabal or whatever. Some say everyone is. Some say they're not. I mean, they don't have a space program. They just said they're going to go to Antarctica. The Iranian president gets shot. Who knows about that? But follow me. Trump assassination attempt. Names his vice president Vance, who comes out super pro-Israel, comes out talking about how we need to not just attack Iran, hit them so hard they could never recover. What a great thing to say right after being named vice president. Then the media comes out and says Iran is behind the assassination attempt. What do they get out of it? Oh, what could they possibly get out of it? Oh, I don't know, like literally starting World War III. Like, what could they get out of it? It's probably a coincidence. It's probably totally a coincidence. Totally a coincidence. And they're like, oh, Iran tried to get him again at the RNC. There was a shooting and some are claiming it. The media is saying Iran was trying to assassinate Trump right after he named his vice president, who said he's going to go and attack Iran. Okay. There's plenty of stuff they can get out of faking it. Okay, so that's a cope. It doesn't matter. This is just like, why would they lie about the earth? It doesn't matter, bro. Like, we're just going to look at the evidence. So,
even the narrative behind the man Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man who supposedly fired the shots at Trump's rally, is starting to change. It's starting to slowly change. We were starting to hear the same old BS from people he went to high school with. Even though the man is 20 and finished high school about 2 years ago, they were interviewing people he went to high school with. Those people were given the same old responses when it comes to people involved in these very bizarre events. He was a loner who was bullied. He was bullied over his clothes. He was shy. He was quiet. He sat by himself during lunch. He had absolutely no friends whatsoever. Yet the narrative on Thomas Crooks is starting to slowly change. People in his high school knew him as an intelligent student who had a few friends, but who never exhibited any glaring red flags. I thought he was a bullied loner that sat by himself during lunch, but anyway, the nursing home where he had a job helping with meals said his work gave its staff no reason for concern. In all these stories where people cause these horrific events, you will find that there will always be these red flags that circle around these people. Oh, they were anti this, they were anti that. They spoke about this, they spoke about that. They were a pot boiling over, ready to explode at any moment. We ignored all the red flags. Yet, when it comes to Thomas Crooks, they cannot find anything on this man. They cannot find any red flags. So it seems like they were late in building up this perfect story. Something went wrong, something got mixed up. I still do believe they mixed up Maxwell Yerick and this man, Thomas Matthew Crooks. They were building up the perfect story for Maxwell Yerick. They said he was an anti-Trump protester who was previously arrested at a Trump rally for assault. He also has other history of assault during other rallies protesting Trump. Maxwell Yerick was supposedly being monitored. What tops everything else off is the fact there is a photo of Maxwell Yerick deceased with a bullet wound grazing his face. He is also wearing a gray shirt in that photo. That person lying prone on the roof ready to fire at Trump does not look like Thomas Crooks. He looks more like Maxwell Yerick. This person on the right lying prone ready to take the shot has a mustache that is similar to the outline of the mustache to Maxwell Yerick on the left. How can anybody not see this? This person lying prone ready to take the shot on the roof is clearly Maxwell Yerick. This is the photo of Thomas Matthew Crooks that news and media are circulating, saying this is Thomas Crooks at the rally prior to him getting on the roof and taking the shot at Trump. But if you look at his upper lip, you can barely make out a mustache. Yet, take a look at the photo of the person lying prone on the roof. You can make out a mustache. That mustache is thick, it's luxurious. Looking at Maxwell Yerick's photo, look at his stubble. This is the kind of mustache that would grow on Maxwell Yerick's face. Something is very, very wrong with this picture here. The person lying prone on the roof, he looks taller, he looks thinner. Thomas Matthew Crooks, he looks shorter, he looks stockier. Even his hair is similar to Maxwell Yerick. I am telling you right now, and I'm calling this right now, they have both of these men mixed up when it comes to this narrative. What really screwed them up is when they said they ran blood tests on the suspect, and what came back was Thomas Crooks. They are so deep into this now, they are scrambling to put a narrative together for Thomas Crooks, who I believe they were going to use in another false flag event. Towards the end of the election, they were probably going to use Thomas Crooks for a school pow-pow event, if you know what I mean, and the whole narrative has now just gotten mixed up. Thomas Crooks' whole MO looks like it was put together, looks like it was built for somebody taking their revenge, their anger out on a school. Thomas Crooks, this bullied loner who sat by himself during lunch because he wore the wrong clothes, his background does not connect with him one day taking out the President of the United States. They know it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They know they messed up. So now they have to target these channels. They have to target people who are now asking questions. Major news channels are now warning the public about conspiracy theories and misinformation when it comes to Trump's rally.
We cannot encourage or participate in these conspiracy theories.
Where have we seen this before? They are trying to stop us from speaking out and asking questions, while at the same time they work on building up this narrative. There were people in my previous video, in the comment section of that previous video, saying they did not use Maxwell Yerick this time because they already used Maxwell Yerick in a previous event back in 2017. But the event they used him for was a anti-Trump agenda. They were building him up. They even have Maxwell Yerick's death photo floating online, where it looks like he was indeed taken out by a sniper. Even the ears of that person in that photo matches Maxwell Yerick. Some will say that, well, the person that was seen lying prone, ready to fire at Trump, was wearing glasses. Maxwell Yerick was also seen wearing glasses in photos. Like I said, I just have the strongest feeling these two men were going to be used in two different agendas, and they mixed them up. Even the weapon Thomas Matthew Crooks used during the rally is a weapon you always hear used in a school pow-pow, an AR. Well, how did he afford the AR? How did he get it? His father gave it to him. This is the exact same narrative they used in all these previous school pow-pow events. If there was indeed a school event involving Thomas Matthew Crooks, they were possibly saving him for the October surprise. where something always happens in the October election cycle to shake up the votes. News and media ran articles where Maxwell Yerick was indeed the suspect behind the incident that took place at Trump's rally, and then they started to scrub those articles, but some have been left over. Now, even though they said Thomas Matthew Crooks was quiet, he had a very little social media presence, he had never spoken to anybody about his political affiliation or practically anything, now there are people coming out and speaking on his behalf, saying he was definitely a conservative. What? What? This looks like a Build-A-Bear narrative. They are building this agenda. They are building this narrative as they go along. So this man went from being a bullied loner who spoke to nobody, had little social media presence, they can't find any information on this man, what he believed, to now he was a conservative who was intelligent and had a few friends. A former classmate, and I wonder why they keep using classmates. Nothing about this makes sense. Couldn't they interview somebody from his place of work? But anyway, a former classmate of the 20-year-old man who tried unsuccessfully to end the life of former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally on Saturday recalled him being staunchly to the right of the political spectrum. Now, in every school pow pow event that had taken place, you will find that the people behind these events, these school pow pow events, they always lean conservative. When the information came out about Nick Cruz, they found out that he had a MAGA hat, that he leaned conservative. So now, out of nowhere, they found the one person to say that Thomas Matthew Crooks was a staunch conservative. The other person whose name appeared in this incident, Maxwell Yerick, was a staunch liberal. He assaulted somebody while he was protesting Trump because that other person defended Trump. So who sounds more likely to pow pow Trump? The now staunch conservative or the staunch liberal? I am telling you, they have these men mixed up accidentally. This classmate, Max R. Smith, says he definitely was conservative. It makes me wonder why he would carry out an attempt on a conservative candidate's life. Smith shared an American history class with Crooks and remembered a mock debate where their teacher made students stand on one side of the classroom or another to signal their allegiance. The majority of the class were on the liberal side, but Tom, no matter what, always stood his ground on the conservative side. So you can see Thomas Crook, his history of his red flags, involved him being different in school. What we always see with these people who carry out these school pow pow events. His history was built up as an agenda for a school pow pow, not a political pow pow event. This is absolutely wild. This is absolutely crazy. And the rabbit hole keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. With every new bit of information that is released, it continues to conflict with previous information that we were given. When this incident first occurred, news and media were dropping multiple names. First they said it was a name of Mark Violets. Then they said it was Maxwell Yerick. Then news and media said no, it was Thomas Matthew Crooks. Then they went back once again and said it was Maxwell Yerick. Then they made the final decision by saying it was definitely Thomas Matthew Crooks. From the very start, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of flip-flopping. News and media started to wipe articles where they said it was Maxwell Yerick, but some articles had still survived. They are going with the fact that it was Thomas Matthew Crooks because investigators went on the roof where the suspect was firing from. They collected DNA that same day, and that same day, almost a couple hours later, they got a hit back, they got a name back. That name being Thomas Matthew Crooks. Even though Thomas Matthew Crooks has no history, he has no record, they would instantly get a match on the DNA. But the one thing everybody needs to be talking about is the white van. This white van seen parked in front of somebody's home on the day that this incident occurred. Fox News would interview the homeowner where this white van was parked. He said police came out, they investigated the van, they jumped back. There was explosives in the van and they towed the van away.
Street, so then you knew this guy's car wasn't supposed to be there. Walk me through what you saw.
So I came home a little bit before 5, so I parked there. Didn't really think too much of it. It was the only spot in the whole yard or the whole road that wasn't blocked off. So later on in the night, everything happened, and we got home, and we were sitting there and saw cops all lined on the street. So whenever we looked out, we walked outside and saw them opening up his vehicle and everything. When the cop opened it, everybody else jumped back and was trying to stay out of the way. Here I am worried about it blowing up or whatever's going on.
This white van they say belongs to the suspect, Thomas Matthew Crooks, has Arizona license plates. The only problem is Thomas Matthew Crooks, he lives in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania with his parents. He does not live in Arizona. So some people have pointed out that when you rent a vehicle, they can have the license plates of other states, such as Arizona. The only problem happens to be investigators jumped the gun once again and said Thomas Matthew Crooks drives a Hyundai Sonata. This Hyundai Sonata, this car, was found at the rally, and this car had explosives inside. So then what happened to the white van with Arizona license plates, which also had explosives inside? We don't know. News and media instantly swept that under the rug. You will not find another article that contains any information about the white van. What is Thomas Matthew Crooks' connection to Arizona? We don't know. Did he rent this white van? We don't know. But there is an individual who was name dropped in this incident that does have a connection to Arizona. That person being Maxwell Yurick. Someone else on Twitter found the whole Maxwell Yurick connection to be kind of strange as well. Something was not adding up. So they did a little digging on Maxwell Yurick's history, and they found the name of his father being Roger Allen Yurick. Come to find out, Roger Allen Yurick lived in Arizona. That is correct. This person found the Arizona connection. Maxwell Yurick's father has a previous address residing in Arizona. Not only that, this is where things get crazier. This person on Twitter did some more digging and found that Roger A. Yurick owned a 1999 GMC Safari, which is a van. This is absolutely mind-blowing information. Even if Thomas Matthew Crooks rented the white van, why did news and media omit this? Why did they sweep the white van under the rug? They said everything that Thomas Matthew Crooks did that day prior to him going to the rally. They said he went to a shooting range. They said he went to Walmart. They said that he went to Home Depot. So where is the information of him renting this van if this van is a rental? There is only one news article about this white van. You will not find any more information about this van. This story has been swept under the rug, but this van is the most vital clue that Thomas Matthew Crooks is either one, he was involved, but he was a patsy, he was a lookout, he was the person to distract everybody, or once again, which I believe, they got the agendas crossed. They were always building up the agenda to involve Maxwell Yurick. They were building up the narrative to involve Maxwell Yurick. Here is Maxwell Yurick on the news being arrested after assaulting police at Trump's rally while he was protesting Trump.
This is what they do to patriots! This video shows Maxwell Yurick being taken to jail. Investigators say he tried to fight an officer who had just been pepper sprayed. This is what they do to patriots! This video.
Where was Maxwell Yurick arrested? What rally? The Butler, Pennsylvania rally back in 2016, where Trump was giving his speech when he was running for president. The same exact rally where he was shot in 2024. You can't make this stuff up. They are too deep into going back and name dropping Maxwell Yurick now, because they said they collected Thomas Matthew Crooks' DNA at the scene. So you cannot reverse course and say the suspect was Maxwell Yurick when you told everybody you collected Thomas Matthew Crooks' DNA. Thomas Matthew Crooks, I always believe, was going to be involved in another incident, in another agenda, in a school pow-pow agenda. This is why everybody they interview who is connected to Thomas Matthew Crooks happens to be from his high school, or happens to be from when he was in middle school. All the photos they are showing us of Thomas Matthew Crooks are not recent. They are showing us photos of him back when he was in school. Why are they not interviewing anybody from his place of work? Why are they not interviewing anybody from his job? Did he know anybody ever since he left high school? Everything has to do with school when it comes to Thomas Matthew Crooks. Nothing makes sense. My question happens to be, if Maxwell Yurick is not involved in this incident, and I'm not saying he is, I'm just raising some questions because news and media happen to name drop him. I am just raising some questions. All the photos that have come out, the suspect on the roof, the deceased photo, all look like Maxwell Yurick. So I am just raising some questions. If Maxwell Yurick is not involved in this incident, why is Maxwell Yurick not speaking out? His name is being floated around news and media. It is circulating around news and media. News and media are saying that it's misinformation to label Maxwell Yurick as the person behind this incident at Trump's rally. So why isn't Maxwell Yurick himself speaking out? Where is Maxwell Yurick's social media? It seems like all of Maxwell Yurick's social media happened to be scrubbed. A person actually captured Maxwell Yurick's Twitter being scrubbed in real time. Not only can we say, does he look like the person on the roof, but now we have the Arizona connection. Now we have the connection to the van, which news and media, oddly, are not talking about anymore. Now we have the fact that Maxwell Yurick does not have social media. Well, they said the exact same thing with Thomas Matthew Crooks. He has little to no social media presence. Maybe one 20-year-old might not have social media, but two? What are the odds that two young men have no social media whatsoever? This is absolutely wild. They got two agendas across, or like everybody else is saying, there was two people involved in this incident, perhaps multiple people. There was not one, there were not two, but three people were interviewed confirming they heard and seen a second shooter at Trump's rally on July 13th. So we have multiple people, including a radio station, saying there was a second suspect at Trump's rally. So why are these claims being ignored? Why are these claims not being taken seriously? And they all say the same thing. It came from the water tower. I am going to go ahead and play those interviews now.
First crack of the gunfire, and I just screamed, "It's the sniper, it's the sniper," and he was firing down toward the water tower.
That's what we're hearing.
And yeah, and then at that same exact moment, there was a spray from the right side of the stage that I thought was some type of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or not gas, but smoke. To blind,
sure.
You know, blind up front. And he said it was, he heard it was gunfire, didn't know hydraulic on the track. So the gunfire was coming toward the stage.
Wow.
And then a few minutes later, there was a couple more shots down the hill, and that's when they started flooding and pushing everybody out.
Sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now, when I called my husband at home, who's watching TV, he said, I thought Trump hurt his ear when he went to the ground. But he said, no, on TV they showed before Trump hit the ground, the ear was bleeding.
Yet there's no blood on his hand.
So that sharpshooter went across. Trump turned his head. His ear must have been nipped, and it killed somebody in the stands over to the left.
Could you see anyone injured besides the blood on the former president?
All I saw was the gentleman from Beaver County who spoke earlier in the day, who was running for the State House Representative, Elmore. I know his name. He had a white shirt on, and I saw him come from that left stands where the people were mostly shot. I think there were several. They said 3 medevacs left here. Blood was down the right side of his... He wasn't shot, but you could see that he was next to somebody who must have been bleeding profusely, because he either helped them and ran, rubbed against them, or tried to get them help or something. It was covered. So I knew that he was near somebody. That was my first indication that somebody was actually shot, when I saw his blood on his shirt.
Aaron, when did you realize that, hey, this might not be fireworks, this might be something else?
When they got Trump down on the ground. And we were just so concerned that he wasn't hit, because we couldn't. It happened so fast. It's really hard to process it. I guess if you have it on your camera to see the exact minute, you can tell. But when he got up, he did not look bad. What I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler. And I feel sad for our country. I feel sad for everybody, I mean, you don't like the guy, don't vote for him. Don't kill him. We love the guy. We're going to vote for him. I mean, what is up with his violence? I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, I just wish that people I'm glad that guy's no longer with us anymore in that tower. And I hope they get the other one too. And I hope they don't nick him. I hope they get him. And he's down.
Fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence.
And still, obviously, initial reports. But what we do know, according to the
fence where the other shooter was, there was one.
Multiple people heard and saw the exact same thing. They gave very descriptive accounts. So why are these accounts being dismissed?
Chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Now you see that figure disappear.
Wait.
Now you see that figure reemerge. Okay. Now the figure reemerges. So interesting, right? Now we're going to zoom in. You can see this dark figure at the very top here as President Trump is speaking right before the shots are fired. And then this person right after, about 4 seconds after the shots are fired, steps out. You can listen to the ducks out of the view.
Why would a second suspect being in the water tower, who has a very easy line of sight to the podium, be out of the realm of possibility, so much so that bots are being released to push back this narrative? You have people saying that this is just not possible, but why? Being on the water tower has a much better advantage, multiple advantages, than a person being on the roof, because in a normal world, the person seen on the roof would have been taken out right away. They would not have waited over 30 minutes to take out the person on the roof. There were many people who were at Trump's rally who said they saw the man who is supposed to be Thomas Matthew Crooks climbing on the roof for quite some time. It was captured on film. The police and the Secret Service were made aware of this.
We have people that right here, right on the roof. It's much tougher than
What sniper who is on a mission to take out the ex-president of the United States, who is currently running for president again, is going to keep themselves so out in the open where multiple people can see them? People are pointing at him, multiple people. They are yelling out, police, there he is. And I am sure the man who is on this roof can hear them saying, there he is on the roof. There's a man on the roof. And yet he still continues this mission on the roof without a care in the world. Very, very odd. Does the man who's on the roof not realize there are people out there not too far from him pointing him out and yelling at him? Given the fact they knew that man was on the roof for over 30 minutes, Secret Service and the police did nothing. They could have at least rushed Trump off the stage. They could have taken him away off the stage. But given the fact they did nothing for 30 minutes and people were pointing this man out, it's very suspicious. It's making me believe that this man on the roof was a patsy and a distraction. If he realized his cover was blown due to all the people pointing him out and yelling that there's someone on the roof, and he's still continuing this mission without the worry of the other snipers that are focused on him and the police that could come and get him, it makes me believe this was all a setup. And this person on the roof, who only has one train of thought to distract everybody away from the real sniper, is more than likely an agent, an MK Ultra agent. A year ago, we all had spoken about a certain movie and how this certain movie was predictive programming for what's to come, and that movie happens to be Civil War. Well, what started the conflict in that movie? It all started with snipers, and on the cover of the Civil War movie, we can see two snipers. Then there are people saying there is predictive programming in the new trailer for Captain America, A Brave New World, the new Captain America movie, where the president in that movie, the president of the United States, has a shot taken at him, he drops to the ground, and then the whole premise of the movie is about how the president's inner circle is compromised. There are people in his inner circle trying to take him out. They say the exact same words in the trailer. Your inner circle is compromised. I do not know how you cannot see that. And we are seeing this play out in real time, how there are people that believe that Trump's Secret Service was compromised. They knew what was about to happen. They stood down, they waited for the man to fire, and then they took out the sniper. Then there is a photo, a bizarre photo being passed around by news and media where they are saying this is Thomas Matthew Crooks at the day of the rally. An aerial photo of Thomas Matthew Crooks. Where did they get this photo? If this was a drone photo, were they tracking him for quite some time? And if they were, still begs the question, why did they not intervene? Why did they not take Trump out of the rally? Makes no sense whatsoever. This is all a setup. This is all planned. And whoever the man is on the roof is once again either a distraction, a patsy, or both. So there is still a lot going on here. The rabbit hole still runs very deep. There are a lot of witnesses who saw and heard things they were not supposed to see and hear. They were supposed to look over here and not over there.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. This is Explosive. I'm actually nervous to bring this to you because, well, we know how much the deep state, the state, whatever's going on, does not like having its narratives punctured, but obviously there's a lot wrong with the Trump shooting. I'm going to show you rock solid evidence today, and I'm making this public. I've been chewing on this for a while. I don't have the complete analysis yet. We're going to need more people to weigh in on this, but let me show you what I've got. So we're going to start here. This is day 3 of the cover-up, as we're calling it. And by the way, this is July 18th. I'm going to dedicate this to my brother, John Peter Martinson. He died when he was 23, just a hole ripped out of my heart, and today's his birthday. So I have to make mention of that. So it's for you, John. I know he would have admired this work, and I'm doing this for you, and that's why I'm going to be proud and loud about this. There were 2 shooters. So let's reorient ourselves with the scene again. Let me get my drawing tool out, or my pointing tool. Okay, so first up, they tell us that the shooter was here. This is very accurately located on the roof off of the drain pipe, as we covered before. I'll show you that one more time. I just want to make sure we're all sharing the same orientation because this is important, right? And we have 2 victims here. Comparator, who died, another guy who's very severely injured. He has life-altering injuries. And then another gentleman back here in the upper right part of the stand. I'm going to show you all this evidence, okay? So first up, we need to know where all the shots went, right? And I'm going to show you that the first 3 shots came from a very different weapon in a different location than the next string of shots that came out. It's either 5 or 6, depending on how you count. But you decide, listen, it couldn't be more clear how different they are. This is the picture from on the roof of, Crooks lying here dead. There's a little blood trailing down back here, but this allows us to locate him on the roof very, very accurately because of this raised seam metal roof. And now the story is that there's actually, you can't see it in this photo, but there's a 5-foot ladder here. Apparently he came up, would have come across, would have jumped down onto here, would have come up. Maybe that explains why his backpack, if that's what that is left there. Came over to here. Apparently some other cop would have been lifted up and looked over a roof line. I don't know what that is. Now, even in CNN a while ago, this is from CNN. So I'm saying even because these guys are deep state sort of aligned. Operation Mockingbird. They don't print stuff unless it's pre-approved. So somebody allowed this information to come out. And they said here that the first 3 shots were consistent with weapon A and the next 5 consistent with alleged weapon B. And the final acoustic impulse emitted by a third possible weapon C. I believe that's true. And weapon C is the sniper taking out Crooks, I think. Best guess. I'll give you my big hypothesis at the end. So this was confirmed. This is per audio analysis by Catalin Gregores, director of the National Center for Media Forensics at the University of Colorado in Denver. So I'm sure that her and Cole Whitecotton, a senior professional research associate, they have much better access to much better analysis software and all of that. All I need to get out to you today is something that seems to be missing from the dialogue, and they're trying to run forward with this lone shooter junk, which of course is straight from their playbook. That's how they did it. That's what they did with JFK. They lied about that. That's what they did with RFK. They lied about that. So this is standard from the playbook kind of stuff. Lone nut with a mysterious motive we can't unravel. We're here to unravel all of that, okay? Rock solid, absolutely conclusive. And this is the best part about being alive today. We don't have to wait for 30, 40 years for a Zapruder film and people to sort of analyze it. We're doing this in real time and figuring this out as it's unfolding. And that is the absolute benefit of living in today's world with all these cell phones and cameras. Much harder to get away with really sloppy operations. And this was a sloppy operation because they missed their man.
By design.
Whoever was involved in this. But I can guarantee you that the information I'm presenting to you, they also have. But somehow they're hiding it, which of course is par for the course with these particular crew of people. Okay, and they said audio analysis has confirmed the gunman was 360 to 390 feet, 3 feet away. Okay, according to another forensic expert, Robert Mayer. Yeah, we all end up in the same ballpark. I end up a little closer to 430 feet, but doesn't matter. All within the realm of analytical wiggle room. Okay, so this is we're going to analyze two separate audio streams today. This is the first one. This is taken from a microphone right in front of the podium. So you're going to hear two things, of course. You're going to hear a snap. Sounds very sharp sound. That's the supersonic crack of the bullet flying within, sending its supersonic shockwave to the microphone. Microphone picks it up like that. And then there's the report of the gun, which follows a little later. Sounds like an echo, so it goes crack thump, crack thump. The crack thump is a well-known tool that snipers would use to estimate how far away somebody is that's shooting them. If there's a very long distance between the crack and the thump, that your shooter's very far away because the bullet flies faster than the speed of sound. So the sound is the explosion of the gun. Boom! That starts traveling towards, the victim down there or whoever's downrange. But the bullet gets there first. And it gets there at supersonic velocity, which means faster than 1,100 feet per second, give or take the altitude and conditions. So if anything's traveling faster than the speed of sound, it has a sonic boom, crack, right? So that's what we're going to hear. You're going to hear first in this tape. First, you're going to hear 3 very clearly distinct crack thumps. And then things get a little confusing, right? It gets a little fast. And so how do you count and all of that? Whoever put this video together did the counting. Thank you for that. However, I think there's some room for interpretation here as well about that. So without any further ado, this is that
Take
audio
a look at what
we're
happened.
analyzing. Wait. Hang on. You're going to hear one more. There it was. There's that last one. Okay, one more time.
Take a look at what happened.
Listen to this. Can you hear that? That's 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then hard to unravel what's happening there because we have echoes. We've got them overstacking each other. So there's 2 supersonic cracks that come in, and later the thumps of the gun come in, the crack thumps. So it gets a little tricky to unravel. So let's do that and go there. Okay. First up, I want a big shout out to Mike Adams at Health Ranger. He was out with this within minutes for those first 3 shots. Clued me in to the idea that we really did need to take a look at the other one. So way to go, Mike. Thank you for picking that up and doing that. All right. This is the audio file. I pulled it into a program called Audacity, right, off of that video. And I find on here 9 separate shots, okay? So I find 3, then a grouping of 5, and then one last one out there. Number 9, I think, this is the sniper shot that would have, I think, looks like it took out Crooks just above the left eyebrow. If you want to go look at those, or, the gross pictures, right? Obviously, he's all bloody and dead. They have that close-up picture of his face, right? And you can actually see a hole right about here over the left eyebrow. So we have those first 3 shots, then we have the 5, and then that last one. I'm not going to worry about the last one as much, but we're going to have to look at these first sets very, very carefully here. So here is video number 1. Just to orient ourselves, I count off of this video 15.8 seconds from the very first to the very last shot. So the AP article that said, Crooks took a shot and was neutralized by snipers within seconds, what they meant was 15.8 seconds, unless I have this story wrong. Next, we're going to look at these first 3 shots here so you understand how we can analyze the rest of them. And so here's the shot. This is the sonic crack. So that's the bullet is the blue arrows, and then the report is going to be the black arrows. So that's the crack thump, crack thump, crack thump. And of course, it was the first bullet that nicked Trump's ear. And again, let me get my thing here. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, so now I've just isolated the sound. There it is. Okay, whoops, sorry. One last time just to make sure we're hearing this right. There's 0.22 seconds between the crack and the thump, and knowing a little bit about the type of the bullet that was used and the caliber of it and the air conditions and things like that, you can estimate the distance of the shooter and how far away the shooter was. So that 0.22 second gap between the crack and the thump is very important because it helps us identify that a gun is being shot from that distance. If there were any other lengths, like if we saw a crack thump, we would clearly see that that was two separate weapons because assuming the first and the last crack thumps were the same distance apart. So if there's any variation between the crack and the thump, that's when you say, oh, that's a different weapon. So that's one way. The other way is just the tenor, just the sound of the weapon. Does it sound different? Now, this is interesting. This woman here had put up a video on TikTok. I really wish we could get the unaltered, I call it unmolested. I don't need all the words put on there. And it's not a consistent video, so there's edits in there. So I can't, if it ran from beginning to end, we could tell more, but I'm suspecting that we can tell a lot from it. So we're going to bring it up here because this is one of the videos, only videos that I know about that shows, I think, the first stand victim getting shot. So here we go.
Side of Trump. I'm over on the far right or far left of Trump. These are the same bleachers. Watch the top left. These are the same exact bleachers. These are to the left of Trump. Those shots.
Okay. What I've done here is, so I just want us to look at, I just pulled out that one tiny section. You can clearly see a bullet careening off of this railing up here, and it does it with enough force to atomize and vaporize. And so I think this is an important clue. We'll see. So let's just look at that over and over again. Pew! Did you see that? Again. Pew! See that? Okay, oops, one more time. And again. So you can clearly see this shot happening. Now, this gentleman who's right, and again, my laser pointer back, this gentleman right here is in a very, very distinctive American flag shirt of some kind. You can see him hunch over there a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that that shot that you see careening off the rail struck him first. And the reason I think that struck him first, because we showed this before, is from this video that's after the fact. We're on the right side of the stands. You can see he's being brought down. And you can see here he's holding, get my laser pointer back. He's holding his right chest, holding that, right, with his left arm is coming over. So his right chest, I don't know the extent of his injuries. I can't find any updates in the media right now, so we're going to be watching out for that. But if he was struck in that upper right chest and the bullet still managed to take something off of the railing into a puff, we see a very clear puff there. I don't think that's a .223 round. .223 round, a little 55 or a 62 grain bullet. When they hit, they tend to tumble. This would have to have had enough force to have nicked Trump's ear, if I'm right about this being the first shot, nicked his ear, traveled in, struck this gentleman, and still had enough force to vaporize either the railing or that was the bullet itself atomizing. That was what that gray puff was. More likely that's a larger caliber round, but that's a guess, pure hypothesis, pure conjecture. I'm just throwing it out there as a placeholder, but that would be more consistent with something, say, in a 308, some 30 caliber sort of a round, something with enough energy to penetrate and still atomize and vaporize on the back railing. But again, just a guess. Doesn't matter, just speculation. It's kind of irrelevant. But again, if we're back here, again so I think you can see that puff right there. See that? Oops, sorry. And puff. 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 So he's been hit, and also it's on his right side. So, and if you see how he's oriented, he's all the way up against the back with his right side tipped towards the back. So this is as high up as you can get. Now, the other thing I need to point out about that is he is all the way in the highest row of bleacher seats. Those things start roughly at about stage level, which is about 3.5, 4 feet in the air, and then they go up level. So if you said it's, I don't know, a foot or foot and a half per level, he's clearly many feet up in the air and he's standing. So that bullet that struck him has to be, I don't know, pick a number, 12, 15 feet in the air, pretty high up. And that's going to become important again in just a second. All right. So this is plausible for the first shot then. Okay. We see here if the shots came from the rooftop shooter first, then comes across the podium. Trump would have been standing right about there and could have struck somebody standing in the back right where that gentleman was with the flag shirt who got hit. So that's entirely plausible, but except it's a little bit more consistent with a rising shot, because if we put the podium at about 3.5 feet, 4, let's call it 4, we'll put Trump at 6'3", but take 3 inches off, so 10 feet. 10 feet, that bullet goes whizzing by his ear. But if this is why we need all the trajectories, that's why we need all this mapped out, that's why we need an absolute accounting of every single shot taken. If that was the first shot that struck that gentleman, okay? And that's why if I had that unmolested video and I could piece it in, I could tell you exactly. So
look what happened.
So hold this as just a bunch of conjecture until we have more. But if that gentleman was struck by the same bullet that took Trump's ear, that means that thing must have been on a rising trajectory, because Trump's at 10 feet. And then further back, this guy, his chest is probably at 13, 14 feet. It's higher in the air. That would have been more consistent with a shot fired from lower down that was then rising instead of a shot fired from the roof, which would have been declining and coming down. I'm giving you this because this is going to be in a few slides. You're going to see why I'm making a point about this. Okay, so the audio from video 1, when we look at it here, the first 3 shots we can make complete sense of. Okay, fine. Then there's a 4th shot that arrives, and it does so with the bullet in a report at 0.212 seconds, close enough for government work here, or rough analysis. Here's another bullet and a report. So that's the snap, crack. There's echoes. We see there's echoes. So the bullet makes a k, and then the sound is echoing probably off of one of the buildings. We have a lot of flat surfaces back there. So the microphone is here, supersonic crack, and the crack makes it to the microphone, and then it echoes off of something. And so we see the crack and an echo. We could probably very, very accurately estimate how far away that flat surface is off of that echo, and then you get the report itself. Crack, thump, crack, thump. So shots 4 and 5, I'm still pretty good with shots 4 and 5 in terms of being able to make sense of them. From 6 on, man, it gets all kinds of weird. And I'm not going to take you through the weirdness from video 1. To try and resolve what's happening with those other shots, we're now going to turn to video 2. This really clarifies everything and makes the entire case. So we'll listen to it up through the shots, which is about 20 seconds of tape. Yeah, I won't take you through all the screaming and everything. And by the way, not for nothing, but screaming, I don't understand people who just start screaming and then just don't stop in an event like this. So listen past this. It's a little, it's there's a lot of screaming going on, but you can clearly hear shots 1, 2, and 3. And then you can hear the other string of shots come out. We're going to analyze it. I'll break it down. We'll take a look at it. However, I do want to pre-stage this a little bit. And for yourself, decide for yourself, does 1, 2, and 3, do they sound the same at all compared to the other ones that you hear? Okay. And remember, we already have the analysis from audio experts elsewhere saying there's a difference between weapon A and weapon B. And I can show you that the rounds fired from weapon B were also aimed at the stage. Okay, so this is important. 2 weapons, one fires a string of 3, another fires a string of 5 or 6, depending on how we count, and off they go. And they were also out hitting the crowd and headed towards Trump. Okay, this is important because now we do not have a lone gunman anymore. Okay, so listen up. Here we go. And then that one more, that's the 6 I'm unclear on. Let's listen to this again. Muffled, and then right? That's what I hear. And a lot of screaming. Okay, so let's analyze this now. Let's go into this with a little bit more depth. So video 2, The way I score it, there's about 16.0 seconds from first to last shot, so very consistent with what we're experiencing on the first audio, so that's nice. They kind of line up pretty well. And here's the whole audio from all that screaming and the shots from video 2. We have in blue the first 3 shots here. We have more shots here from a second weapon. I'm not sure about this one. It has a very different sound that we heard. And here's the final last shot, which I believe is from, oops, sorry, don't have my thing. You don't know what I'm pointing at. This is the 5 that make a very distinct sound. Here's one with a very different crack in it. That's the 6th shot in the string. And then here we have the final last one, which I think is the sniper weapon, which is probably the one that put the bullet just over the left eye of Crooks on the roof. So we're going to take a closer look at the blue, the red, the blacks here and listen to these things. But once again, let's just listen very carefully and we'll go back and forth until you're certain of this yourself. Here's just the first 3 shots from that video. I haven't done anything, no audio, I haven't done any enhancements. This is both of these video audio pieces are exactly pulled straight from the video itself. Nothing else. I haven't boosted any, I haven't done any filtering, raw files, okay? So, and by the way, every instinct in me was to try and minimize all the screaming, but I was like, nope, that just like, what did you do? And then there's questions. These are raw files. Here's 1, 2, and 3 to start. Okay, listen to that again. And one more time. Okay, now let's listen to the next string. Ooh. Yeah. Hear that? So 6 sounds different to me, but here's an interesting thing. 1, 2, and 3, besides being muffled and further away, it doesn't have echoes. Here we have, this is a shot here, this one, this peak, oh, darn it, I don't have my thing up again. Here we go. So this here is a shot. This is an echo. Very clearly an echo, and a shot in an echo, and a shot in an echo. So this is actually critical evidence because you hear that, there's echoes coming off. So that also allows us, again, to analyze where was this gun. But first up, we just have an absolutely different sound between the first 3. There's no echo. It's much further away. It's more muffled. It's just not in the same place at all. But these next ones, very different sound, totally different weapons. Okay, full stop. We have 2 separate weapons. Plus, we have no echoes coming off of the first 3, and then we do have echoes coming off of the next set. And that last one, that's different. That's not the sniper shot. The sniper shot is another 10 seconds later. So I don't know what number 6 is here, but we're just going to bookmark it for now and go on. So audio analysis conducted by Nick tells us that if those next string of shots, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are coming from shooter, who we're going to call shooter 2, because shooter 1 is sending off those muffled ones. Shooter 2 is very consistent. If somebody was on the roof firing something with a 223 round, those, and here's where audio 2 is recorded from. That we've isolated exactly where the person was standing. They were walking, so there's a little movement, but they were basically right here. The echoes we have is perfectly consistent with conditions, atmospheric conditions of the day, to have bounced off of this building, because that's what you need for an echo. You need a hard, flat surface to echo off of. So that's what we got. We have an echo that perfectly lines up with somebody being up there in shooter number 2 position. Now, here's where it gets a little weirder. So what I've done, and this is, I've taken the first timeline. This is the video number 1's audio, and I've lined it up with video number 2's audio. And for the most part, we're in pretty darn good shape, right? Here you can see, so this is the supersonic crack. So that's the crack of the bullet arriving. And I've lined that up with what I did. I just shifted the timelines to line up with, this is the report of the gun. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gun plus a 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've lined up that first blast of the gun with the arrival of the bullet so that it should be consistent, because if you have the explosion, the arrival of it downstream, they ought to line up, right? The timings ought to be the same. So sure enough, shot 1, no problemo, lines up perfectly. This is an echo up top there. Here's the echo down here for shot 1. The top bullet is echoing off of whatever it's echoing up there near the stage. And this is echoing probably off of that building surface we just showed you. So shot 1, 100%, we're good to go. Shot 2, same thing, lines up perfectly. It's got an echo right here. That's that little peak right there. And it's got an echo up top. Everything lines up. Shot 3, though, remember this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one doesn't line up. This one is actually, this shot happens about 0.03 seconds earlier. There's not alignment. It should be right under this peak, but it's not, which means the shot happened 0.03 seconds. It took 0.03 seconds longer for that bullet to get downstream, right? To the microphone in front of the Trump platform there. What does that mean? Well, that means that it's somewhere between, depending on the caliber and, maybe the caliber. I don't have any bullets here. I can't guarantee anything. Depending on a lot of things, the muzzle velocity of whatever this projectile was, and things like that. That 0.03 seconds, assuming it's 2,600 feet per second, that's how fast this thing's traveling. Could be 2,500, could be 3,000. I don't know what they're using, so you have to make some guesses. But it's further away. This implies the possibility that shots 1 and 2, those are fired by crooks, but somebody about 78 to 100 feet further away took shot 3. Then shots 4 and 5 line up again perfectly, but shot 6, hey, that's off the mark again by the same amount. And, there's not quite the echoes that are happening off of shot 3. We don't see the same. There should be an echo right here. There should be an echo right here. We don't see that, not like these big echoes. So there's a chance here, I'm making a chance that there's a possibility of there were 2 weapons being fired that are different from the first one. 1, 2, 3 are from weapon 1. Weapon 2 for sure is in a different spot, but there's a possibility because of those times of weapon 3. So it could be that 1, 2, 4, 5 were taken by crooks on the roof because he heard some stuff going on, decided to take his shots, but 3 and 6 were taken by somebody else another 100 feet away. I don't know. We're going to need more professional audio analysis, but I like it when everything lines up, and everything does line up until we get to there. And then further down the timeline, things get really weird, and things aren't lining up, but we don't know who's firing down at that end of the spectrum either. So some weird stuff down there, but it doesn't line up really well enough for my taste. Okay, so hypothesis. What do we have here? Okay, here's the hypothesis. At least 2 shooters. Maybe 3. Don't know. The first 3 shots, I suspect, my hypothesis is they came from inside the building. All right? They were inside that, like if Crooks was on the roof, open the window, those shots came in from down below. Why do I think that? Because that ensures that the crack boom are consistent with the Patsy on the roof. The angles are the same. The crack boom isn't off. There's nothing to analyze, right? If those first 3 shots come out from below Crooks, then it all lines up, right? And this aligns with what we have from video number 2's audio, where it's more distant, it's a muffled sound that would be more consistent with being inside. We don't have, it's also the upward slope of that bullet, right? Now that begins to line up if it's true that that back victim was struck with bullet 1, and also all the lack of echoes. So everything's consistent with that hypothesis, and it's just a hypothesis. I'm just trying to, put some meats on the bones of what might have happened here. Because I know for a fact we had 2 guns, period, maybe 3. I could make a case for 3. I'm not as solid on that. I'm going to wait for expert analysis. But we don't need any further expert analysis to understand there were 2 weapons being fired at the stage, right? Because here's what happened. These next string of shots down here, which I'm highlighting, this is the recording from video 2. This is video 2's, audio 2, video 2. Video 1, which is taken from the microphone right at the front where Trump is, these are sonic signatures. So these booms led to these cracks, right? These explosions of this weapon resulted in bullets making sonic booms right over the microphone down at Trump stage. So let's be clear. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wasn't like, because I can hear it already. They're like, the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit saw him and climbed up and blah, 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 blah. Really, I guess that's what it was. That's not what it was. This second weapon that was fired, leaving the echoes and that sharper crack, that was fired towards the stands. So we have 2 shooters, guaranteed. Full stop. Okay. In the second group of shots, I'm positive that 1, 2, 4, and 5, pretty sure those were fired by Crooks. Lines up with everything, the echoes, and the snaps recorded downrange, all that. Now, shots 3 and 6 are puzzling. Again, expert analysis will be required here, not me. I'm just a doof with audacity and some common sense. But their delayed arrival downrange suggests they were taken 78 to about 95 feet further back than Crook's position. That would be consistent with somebody being on one of those other roofs just behind him, you know, just in case of you know, mission failure, I guess. I don't know. So my conclusions for today, there are at least 2 distinctly different weapons being fired, at least 2. The first 3 shots further away than the weapons that fired the next 5 to 7 shots because they're muffled. The sonic cracks tell us that everything was fired in Trump's and the audience's direction. That means they weren't taking out Crooks with these shots. This means the lone shooter theory is 100% false. And I can't be the only guy who's done this analysis. And how is it possible that we even had CNN saying, oh, you know, experts tell us there were at least 2 weapons, probably 3 with that last final sniper shot, maybe 4. So this tells us that this was a full-on operation. These are the questions that need to be asked. I fear for my safety and everybody else's safety for coming out with this stuff, because one thing we know, they don't like loose ends in these stories, but man, they bollocksed this operation up really badly. Whoever was in charge of it, probably already floating in a river. I don't know what's going to happen to them because they really messed this operation up. It was sloppy. It left all kinds of traces and signatures. And it's very clear that they should have never held that rally in that location. Everybody I've talked to who's professionally trained, and I'm going to get somebody on the program here to talk about this, you would never do it the way that was set up. You had the lines of sight were all wrong. You were too many open places, that the perimeter was too tight. Like everybody, they had 2 sniper teams only 40 yards apart. No, you put them really far apart. The perimeter was way too into, oh yeah, anything out. We were in charge of up to 100 yards, you know, that 140-yard building, that was the local police. There was a gym that was 400 yards away. Normal perimeter is 400 to 500 yards, okay, for an operation like this. So everything stinks to high heaven. We already know that, but it's bizarre to me that we're able to determine here with our Comcast connection that there were at least 2 weapons, and that's just confirming something that's already out there in the public space. This needs to be talked about. Share this as widely as you can. I decided to put all this out public today. There's no further analysis today for my Peak Prosperity subscribers, so this is it. Just, I had to put this all out there. And hey, happy birthday, John. I love you, brother, and I miss you. With that, thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Share this, please. Get it out there.
And this is the weird thing. As soon as, so she's like looking around. Tig, if you think I'm paranoid, you know I'm kind of squirrely sometimes. It looks to me like she does a little smile, and then she like stops herself. And then she just gets down and goes right to the camera. That's odd, man.
That said, take a look at what happened.
Oh, she did.
Did you see that?
She did do a smile.
Take a look at what happened.
But you see how she keeps looking. She does keep looking.
It's just so strange, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I know people are weird. People are strange. It could just be some weird lady that just had a weird reaction, but I'm sorry. There's just too many strange oddities going on. It's frustrating, man, because usually we have a easier job doing this kind of, you know, observations and analysis. But man, they went in this time.
Over at the sniper team.
Yeah. Who is this chick?
See right there, she's standing up. She's not, I mean, some people are kind of looking over that way, but the way she's looking a little bit further back, and she keeps looking up.
Yeah, here, I'll zoom out a little bit.
Look it up.
I mean, did she really want the photo op like that bad? She just seems so concerned about getting footage. Come on, man. Anybody in their right mind, you start hearing gunshots and people ducking, that's the first thing you're going to do? It's just so strange.
But she had that phone ready, like, for something to happen.
To me, it looks like, so she's, I think, I agree, looking at Secret Service, so looking to the roof, but then she looks like she's looking at someone in front, too. or like someone cued something. Because here are the shots too.
Old, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
1, 2, 3.
I mean, she is looking around a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, think about it. Like, sure, maybe she's.
Yeah, the Fusca guy. Yeah, there's a lot on him. I got a bunch of stuff on him, but I don't know him very well, and I didn't want to waste time talking about him. But that's clearly another one of these weird situations. Like, what is this dude doing? His whole activity, he doesn't seem bothered. It's the strangest thing.
There just happens to be so much going on when it comes to Trump's rally, so much back and forth, so much flip-flopping, that if we were to pick apart everything, we would really lose our focus. It all happens to remind me of the movie The Shining, when Danny is running away from Jack in the snow. Danny is leaving all these different footprints trying to confuse Jack. And I believe that is what's going on here. Day one, when this incident occurred, we were given some back and forth information when it comes to this man right here. This man came out and said, "I am Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Trump. I hate Republicans, but you got the wrong guy."
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
And everybody was confused who this man was. Was this really Thomas Matthew Crooks? Well, they said they took out Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof. Why is he making a video where he's clearly alive? News and media ran multiple articles with this man's photo saying this is Thomas Matthew Crooks. But come to find out, this man here is a troll on Twitter by the name of Jew Gazing. So that was a pretty big mix-up on only just day one, where we have this man looking like Thomas Matthew Crooks' twin. But that would not be the only twin situation going on here when it comes to this Trump rally. People have said they have identified this woman in white here who is acting rather bizarrely relaxed when everything broke out at Trump's rally. They said this woman is the FBI Assistant Director, Janine DiGiuseppe. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you, it does look like her, but then again, there are some features between these two women that are kind of different. If you look at the neck, Janine is kind of thick. Janine's neck is thicker, this woman's neck is slimmer. That does not mean much because do we have a recent photo of Janine DiGiuseppe? Janine DiGiuseppe, yes, she does look thicker in some of her photos, but she may have lost weight. The photos we see of Janine may be older photos that are circulating online. Her nose, her mouth, and her chin are very similar to Janine's. Also, when this woman in white smiles, it's kind of similar to Janine's smile as well. I can definitely be on board with the theory that this is indeed the FBI Assistant Director. I would just need to see a more recent photo of Janine DiGiuseppe. I believe the most recent photo that is circulating on this woman goes back to August 27th, 2023. People definitely can lose weight between August and July. They can lose a lot of weight. Now, like I said, I was not going to create a video on this woman until some disinformation started to come out from some rather prominent people. One of those people just happened to be Candace Owens. Candace Owens says this when it comes to the woman in white.
Look at that side by side. You go, okay, they have some comparisons, but you can see that Janine is bigger. And also you can see that their noses are entirely different. And then we did some even further digging and we were able to discover who in fact that woman is. And I'm not going to give her name because she is a private citizen, but I will show you a photo of who was sitting in the audience that day. And by the way, she ID'd herself because she went and put videos on TikTok regarding her presence when Trump was shot. And now you can see that that is definitively that girl. You can see that that is the woman and that she is wearing the same ring that she has on in the footage of Trump's assassination attempt. So I can tell you, having gone through her Instagram, which is still public, that definitively that is the correct ID. It is not an FBI agent.
Now, I'm not going to say that the noses between Janine DiGiuseppe and this woman in white are completely different. They are not. We are just looking at them at a different angle, but they still, even at a different angle, look very similar. But unfortunately, here's where Candace should have really did her homework, Because anybody with eyes can see that these two people, the woman that she's trying to play off as the woman in white and the woman in white who is at Trump's rally, have two completely different ears. I am not talking about the fact that the woman in white is wearing a hat and the hat is pushing down the top of her ears. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about are the earlobes. The earlobes are completely different. The woman they're trying to pass off as the woman at the rally, her earlobes are attached and they're more downward. The woman at the rally wearing white, her earlobes are not attached. They are two completely different earlobes. That is how we know these are two completely different people. Pushing down your hat will only move the top of your ears. It has nothing to do with your earlobes. It will definitely not attach your earlobes to your face, and it will not cause your earlobes to hang down. Just going based off the ears, these are two completely different women. This woman that they are trying to pass off as the woman in white may have attended the rally, but she is definitely not the woman seen behind Trump. I am not saying 100% without a doubt this woman is Janine DiGiuseppe, but I will buy the theory that this woman is a thinner Janine before I buy the fact that this woman here is this woman in white. Look at the chins, they do not match. The woman on the left has a rounder chin. The woman on the left, her lip is not as full as the woman in white. And again, the ears just do not match, the earlobes. The woman in white, her pointy chin matches Janine DiGiuseppe. Strangely enough, there is not one good photo of Janine's ears. Janine always has her hair down covering her ears, but one photo, this photo here. And as you can see, Janine's earlobes are not attached. So again, I'm not saying this woman is Janine, but I am definitely saying this woman is not the woman they are trying to pass off. They look nothing alike. And people are saying, Candace Owens debunked it. She debunked it. She didn't debunk anything. And the only reason why they're saying she debunked it is because Candace Owens happens to be a Republican and people are following her just because they have the same political alignment. This is exactly why I stay in the middle. Because there are people that are saying, yeah, these women do look completely different. Their earlobes look completely different, their noses, their lips. But since Candace Owens said that these are the same women, then I guess they're the same women. They happen to release something even more damning to their lie. So apparently this woman who they're saying is the woman in white was at the rally and she was recording footage. This is the footage this woman had taken.
They're shooting. They're shooting over there. Over there. Over there. They're shooting.
When you're ready, on you. Move.
There happens to be a few things off about this woman's recording. For one, the woman in white is sitting a lot closer to the stage. She is directly behind Trump. Where this woman is sitting is farther from the stage. One more thing I like to point out is that the woman who's filming this footage, the woman that they are saying is the woman in white, is sitting next to a man in red, and he's wearing a camouflage hat. Well, if you watch the footage of the woman in white, she is not sitting next to this man. So whoever is filming this footage that they're saying is the woman in white is clearly, once again, not the woman in white. So we have to ask ourselves, what indeed is going on here? I did not find this really important until they started to quickly cover this up. They started to quickly say that if you're saying that this woman is Janine DiGiuseppe, then you are spreading misinformation. You are spreading disinformation. It's this woman right here. But clearly, as we can see, it's not this woman right here. They are allowed to spread their own misinformation, their own disinformation, while at the same time, they are suppressing you and telling you whatever you're saying is misinformation.
And then she just gets down and goes right to the camera. That's odd, man.
That said, take a look at what happened.
Oh, she did.
Did you see that?
She did do a smile.
Take a look at what happened.
But you see how she keeps looking. She does keep looking.
It's just so strange, guys. I'm sorry. Like,
oh, people, we are calling them out. We are poking holes in their narrative, and they know it. they know this time they have been exposed. When I talk about they, of course I am talking about the powers that be, certain three-letter agencies, organizations like BlackRock, those who put the scripts together for these events. Yesterday, I uploaded a video titled Shocking Trump Rally Shooting Suspect in a Commercial. Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man behind the incident at Trump's rally, or supposedly the man behind the incident at Trump's rally, was seen in a BlackRock commercial. Now, credit where credit's due, I did not find this commercial. Those who had found this commercial were on platforms like Twitter and Reddit. I just made the video. But as more and more people had noticed and made videos on this subject, word got around and eventually it got right back to BlackRock. And BlackRock realized they messed up. BlackRock said, oops, we did not pick up all our cookie crumbs, so now the trail is leading right back to us. Upon the realization, BlackRock deletes the 2022 ad featuring the supposed man behind the Trump rally incident, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Even though I know the man behind the incident was Maxwell Yerick, nobody, and I mean nobody, will make me believe any differently. Now answer me this, when Secret Service popped that man on the roof and they collected his DNA sample, that same day they got a hit back, that hit being Thomas Matthew Crooks. Yet they said Thomas Matthew Crooks has no criminal record. He has no history whatsoever. So how did they get a hit back that quickly? The same day, within hours. Where did they get Thomas Matthew Crooks' DNA from? But anyway, I'm sidetracking. BlackRock Incorporated, the world's largest money manager, and they have their hands in everything. Even the C-19 pharmaceuticals, I mean they are deep in everything, has pulled an ad that briefly featured Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old who supposedly shot and wounded former President Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The company did indeed confirm Crooks was a student at Bethel Park High School and appeared in the 2022 ad with other unpaid teens. Thankfully, we have screen recorded that commercial because this New York Post article is trying to make it seem like Thomas Crooks was just caught in the background. He had a brief scene in the background. No, he did not. He had two scenes, and one of the scenes was by himself, and he was up close. BlackRock gave a statement by saying, in 2022, we ran an ad featuring a teacher from Bethel Park High School in which several unpaid students briefly appeared in the background, including Thomas Matthew Crooks. Crooks graduated the same year the commercial aired from Bethel Park High, where he was one of a dozen students who received National Math and Science Initiative Star Awards, according to the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. BlackRock noted that while the ad has been removed from circulation, it is still available for investigators to review and is being circulated on social media. Well, of course, it's still available for investigators to review because almost all of us have recorded that commercial. The article says that today, Monday, BlackRock condemns the incident that happened on Saturday. The article also says that the company did not immediately respond to the Post request for additional comment. Now, the article does end with BlackRock, which oversees an estimated $9.1 trillion in assets, has garnered backlash in the wake of previous shootings in the United States as some of its index funds own shares in gun manufacturers. I was willing to leave the whole commercial thing alone because clearly that was Thomas Matthew Crooks in that commercial. But given the fact that BlackRock had deleted the commercial, they look more guilty than ever. BlackRock stated the reason why they removed the video from circulation was out of respect for the victims, as we really believe that. They just wanted to take the conversation away from themselves, but this does more harm than good for BlackRock. This really does look suspicious now. If we believe that BlackRock has their hand in everything, and I am sure they do, then without a doubt they have their hand in programs such as MK Ultra. Do you also sometimes feel like you are living in a movie script? Everything that is playing out, all these events, are scripted. Now, in my previous video, I had somebody say to me in the comment section, Minutes of Horror, not everything is a conspiracy theory, and that is true. And I agree. In almost all my videos, most of my videos anyway, I do not talk about conspiracies. First and foremost, I do not like the word conspiracy theory. We know how and why that word was invented in the first place. Second, almost all my videos come directly from the news. I purposely add news clips and news articles in those videos to show that everything comes directly from the news and media, and I give my opinion. But everything comes from the news. I'm not making any of this up. When we see the flip-flopping, when we see the back and forth, the narratives that do not make sense. For instance, they said that Thomas Matthew Crooks, his vehicle was a white van. There were explosives found in that white van. Come to find out, he was not driving a white van. He was driving a Hyundai Sonata. There were explosives in the Hyundai Sonata. Okay, then what happened to the white van with the Arizona license plates? News, media, police, and investigators all interviewed everybody that was connected to Thomas Matthew Crooks. They all said the same thing. He did not exhibit any red flag behaviors. He was this intelligent, nice guy. Yes, he was bullied, but he was a loner, but still exhibited no red flags. Now, all of a sudden, all these red flags are everywhere. He was a potential school pow-pow person. So yes, I strongly agree. Not everything is a conspiracy theory. Asking questions as to why there's so much back and forth, why there's so much flip-flopping, why nothing makes sense is not a conspiracy theory and should not be labeled so. Asking why police knew for over 30 minutes there was a suspect on the roof, people in the crowd were calling this out, they were calling for police, and yet still, nobody rushed Trump off the stage, even though they knew reports had come out that there was increasing threats against Trump over the past few weeks. Those things actually happen, and asking why those things happen is not a conspiracy theory. But if you wanted to get into the realm of conspiracies, quote unquote conspiracy theories, maybe we can look at a couple things that happened prior to July 13th. One of the things that happened to be slowly building momentum is what took place on July 12th with a company called Austin Private Wealth LLC. Just out of nowhere, a company called Austin Private Wealth LLC shorted 12 million shares of DJT, which is Donald J. Trump, which is connected to his Truth Social platform via a put option. The following date is July 12th, the day before the attempt on Donald Trump's life. Now, I do not know all about stocks. I do not know what shorts and puts are, but as you can see, this company made some heavy movement on July 12th. So what exactly is a short and a put? A short put is when a trader sells or writes a put option on a security. The idea behind the short put is to profit from an increase in the stock's price by collecting the premium associated with a sale in a short put. Consequently, a decline in price will incur losses for the option writer. You do not need to be a wizard in stocks to know that somebody invested big in Trump just a day before his attempted pow-pow. Now, everybody knows when a famous person passes away, whether they are an actor, a musician, and so forth, mostly a musician, you will see a rise in their stock. You will see a rise in their sales, their albums, and so forth after they passed away. They are worth more money when they have passed away. Yes, Trump is not a musician, but he still has stock through his platform and so forth. No matter what happened to Trump on July 13th, whether he passed away or not, whether that person from the roof or the water tower was successful or not, there would still be heavy interest in Trump on July 13th and so forth, and there was. That Monday, following the attempt on Donald Trump's life, Trump Media and Technology Group stock price soared 32% in Monday trading as Wall Street recalculated the odds of former President Donald Trump succeeding. The company, which owns the Truth Social platform, jumped $9.98 to $40.87 in morning trading. Even if Trump would have passed away on July 13th, it would still be a win-win for Austin Private Wealth LLC because Trump's platform would have exploded. Austin Private Wealth LLC has about $1 billion in assets under management, and this is the largest put they have ever placed. So this is a very nice payday for them. Matter of fact, here's what I find odd. You would think any company placing stock into Donald Trump would have done so after his debate with Joe Biden, where it was apparent that Joe Biden was finished. He was over. Even his own party was telling him it's over, it's time to step down. I would think that's the best time to place stock in Trump, but no, they oddly do so a day before an attempt on his life. This becomes even shadier because whoever Austin Private Wealth LLC happens to be, they also hold major shares in BlackRock and Vanguard. Now look, it's not uncommon for these major companies, these major organizations, to have shares in Vanguard and BlackRock, as Vanguard and BlackRock own almost everything. They have investments in almost everything. So that's not unusual. But what is rather fascinating is that this company, Austin Private Wealth LLC, has major shares in BlackRock, and BlackRock has a commercial featuring Thomas Matthew Crooks. Even though these organizations own stocks, shares, investments in almost everything, one of these organizations made a pretty nice sized gamble on Donald Trump, perhaps one of their biggest. While 12 million shares may not seem like a lot for these companies, these organizations, you have to remember these organizations stay wealthy by not making stupid moves, by having this insider information that they know something big is going to take place in the next couple of days that will cause these stocks to rise. So what does the company Austin Private Wealth have to say about all this? Well, they released a statement on July 17th, 2024, and you will not believe it. They are going the route of, it's just a glitch, bro. Austin Private Wealth stated the SEC filing, which showed that Austin Private Wealth shorted a large number of shares of Trump Media and Technology Group Corp, DJT, was incorrect, and we immediately amended it as soon as we learned of the error. No client of APW holds or has ever held a put on DJT in the quantity initially reported. The correct holding amount was 12 contracts or 1,200 shares, not 12 million shares, as was filed in error. Wow, they really went with it's just a glitch bro route.
Anyway, here's somebody talking about this years ago. All right, it says 3 months ago. Let's just say at least 3 months ago. I'm pretty sure this video was put out a couple years ago originally, but here's a preacher saying he had a vision at least 3 months ago. If you haven't seen this, it's pretty crazy.
All throughout America, all throughout, and I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and there things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting.
How crazy is that, bro? Now, let's talk about that. Okay. I think truthers, they need to really recalibrate pattern recognition sometimes. You get a little rusty where you auto-hoax everything. So, let me explain something to you. So many people are like, so what, was he in on it too? If it was faked, it wouldn't require that guy being on it, okay? It would require the people that wrote the script to stage the event to have seen this video and think, wow, this is perfect. Let's just do what he said. And then people will find the video and they'll be like, look, it was God. Okay. This guy doesn't have to be in on it. Is that an option? Sure. It's the least likely option. It's just circulated 100,000 views. They saw 100,000 views with this post. And they're like, yo, let's use that as a script.
About 400 people. It was Alpha Warrior, Maze Love, and MV. And at about 1:45 Eastern Time, this is the announcement that came out on the Twitter space randomly.
You opened your mic, I saw you.
I did. I just need to see if this is true. I heard that there was an assassination attempt on Trump tonight and that Comcast is down. Is there anyone that's heard any of this or can validate any of this? And where the hell did Alpha go? Because he probably... all right, I don't know. I just wanted to announce that. I announced it before I validated.
Okay, and then about half an hour later, people were checking, and then this came out.
I reached out to her and asked her where she heard it, and she said that somebody, I guess she's in Clubhouse right now, and she said that somebody that's in there in Pennsylvania, where apparently he's at, is reporting from there. And they said that the Comcast was down, and I guess it's down across the East Coast. I don't know. I'm looking into that too, but I haven't seen anything. I don't know.
So it's weird. They, many days beforehand, they say that there is a Trump assassination in Pennsylvania. What are the odds?
Welcome everyone to the Wake Up Call channel. I hope everybody out there will share this video. I put this video together and I'm going to try to do it as quickly as I can so everybody out there can see that what's unfolding in front of your faces is all scripted. It is all done by design. Your realities are flipped. They're inverted. The things that you think are real news and really happening in the world are all scripted and pretend. That's how they manipulate your reality, and that's how they move you and herd you and manipulate you the way they want to do so. So what we're seeing right now is all of this stuff playing out in real time that they've shown us in the past through predictive programming. But this narrative that continues to linger is an assassination of Donald Trump. And I've covered it over the years. And I'm going to show you the repetition in the pattern here. Because when you see the repetition in the pattern, you realize that, this likely looks scripted, right? So the Supreme Court giving Joe Biden the legal okay to assassinate Donald Trump. This is the narrative that's once again out there after the stuff that occurred with the Supreme Court. This whole king, there's no more presidents. There's now kings in the United States of America, and they could legally assassinate their political opponents. I think that the narrative with Trump will play out at some point with an assassination. I don't see them wasting all the things that they've done with Donald Trump to not have him assassinated in the future. Now, I don't know when it'll play out or how exactly it'll play out, but I don't see him having a normal death and just dying and fading away at his home somewhere. This is going to play out perfectly the way they want it to. That's why they've gotten people so emotionally invested in Donald Trump. They've gotten Christians so emotionally invested in Donald Trump. So the narrative is once again floating around. And don't forget the other narrative that's been out there for years now that they've been using, and that's the comparison of Donald Trump and Jesus Christ. They're trying to make Donald Trump into a Christian martyr. Christians are falling for this. They're looking at them as the same thing. Experts on why so many Republicans accept that God gave us Trump, that he's a prophet that's been sent down from above. They're comparing the stuff going on in the courts to things that Jesus went through, the same persecution, all make-believe. Trump is nothing more than an actor, which I'll show you in a second. Now, one of the other things I want to show you is what I covered this past Christmas season, which was this depiction of the Nutcracker that most people out there were just laughing at and mocking, which of course it was nothing but cringe, but there was hidden messages in it. And the White House put that out deliberately. Of course, when the alt-right media starts pumping it out and showing everybody and making fun of how corny it is, that's all that the masses end up seeing, but they don't see that they're being programmed while this stuff is going on right in front of them. There has been tons of programming that we've been shown with who? With Donald Trump and Abraham Lincoln. And this is the other two narratives that are going on right now. The Civil War, which you're seeing again. Who do you think of when we think of Civil War in the United States of America? We think of Abe Lincoln. And what else do we think of when we think of Abe Lincoln? We think of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So they've shown us staged photographs of Trump many times standing in front of the Abraham Lincoln photo, looking back at the photo of Abraham Lincoln. And this was the Nutcracker cringe video that they released this past Christmas, where everybody was just paying attention to the insanity of the unhinged embarrassment that it was. But they didn't notice that the king character that is portrayed in the Nutcracker, right? The Nutcracker has the king. What ends up happening to the king in the Nutcracker? The king is slayed, right? The Nutcracker fights the Mouse King. The Mouse King is eventually slayed. And Donald Trump, in this Nutcracker that the White House released, is playing the role of the king. They have the king, the Mouse King, dressed up as Donald Trump, wearing the suit, and they have him right in front of Abraham Lincoln being assassinated. Look. So in that clip, it's very clear to see that the Mouse King wearing the suit and the tie is supposed to be a reflection of Donald Trump, who they're referring to very often out in the public as a king in the mainstream media. Now, there's also this repetition that's been going on for a few years with an assassination of Trump. We all remember the Kathy Griffin picture of her holding up the decapitated Trump head. Snoop Dogg, remember, in his videos, holding up a gun to the orange man dressed up, as a clown, so to speak, which is supposed to be Trump. And they've talked about it many times in the mainstream, even showing us these events where Trump is speaking, where people rush the stage. They have been prepping us for this, even with celebrities like Madonna and Johnny Depp calling for it, an assassination of Donald Trump, even having an actual performance in a play where Trump is assassinated in the play and gets a standing ovation at the end. This stuff has been shown to us. Look.
Stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you?
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick.
Latest on that alleged plan to assassinate Donald Trump. This man grabbed by police at a packed rally in Las Vegas, and ABC's Pierre Thomas has new details in Washington for us. Pierre, good morning.
Good morning, David. This young man allegedly had been targeting Trump for some time. Police say planning to kill him for months.
Moments after Donald Trump took the stage at a rally at the Treasure Island Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas last weekend, a young man approached a police officer stationed at the event and asked for an autograph. According to police, a plan to assassinate Trump was underway.
By the way, folks, while we're at it, great.
Thank you for the warning.
Johnny Depp on stage at a music festival in the UK when, apparently speaking in jest, he referred to assassinating President Trump. When Depp brings up President Trump's name, the audience cheers.
I think he needs help. I don't know. A lot of wonderful dark places he could go.
Then Depp said this.
By the way, this is going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Thank you, Amy. I'm just gonna head on over here.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
It's an actor dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage. Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection. Check out the unbuttoned overcoat and red tie that hangs over his waist. It's a staging of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar that is outraging many. It all comes on the heels of that outrageous image of Kathy Griffin holding the severed head made to look like Trump. She cried during a news conference where she was both defiant and apologetic.
That apology absolutely stands. I feel horrible.
As the cast took its bow, the audience applauded with a standing ovation.
I think that they are greenlighting assassination.
So we know that they've been mentioning this assassination. They've been programming you into being prepared for this Trump assassination and believing it to be a true, real event. And this is going to be nothing more than a scripted fake assassination. Donald Trump and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they are all playing characters. They are all playing characters that you've seen in movies before. Donald Trump is playing that big bully, that aggressive president, that political figure who could end up causing World War III and bringing this country to its knees. Depicted in the movie The Dead Zone by Stephen King, who we know is obviously a government operative, very involved in the trafficking stuff, which I won't get into in this video. But in that film, Charlie Sheen is playing what eventually becomes Donald Trump, and I'll show you the clips now. And in movies like Hot Shots, this bumbling fool of a president role that we've seen over the years, which really would make no sense why these movies were coming out with character after character depicting the president as completely stupid, completely brain dead, and looks just like Joe Biden. We've seen it in Scary Movie with Leslie Nielsen, and we've seen it over the years in the Hot Shot films as well, where Joe Biden is the one that they're actually depicting, showing you this stuff, predictive programming. It's all played out. Same thing with Kamala Harris. The same character in the show Veep that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is playing, is really the role of Kamala Harris. It's literally, it's scripted the same exact way. They act, they talk the same way. So here's a compilation of clips that show you that this stuff is all planned.
In better shape than this country. What the hell is happening to this country? Anybody tell me what the hell is going on? Papers right here on the front
Believe this
page.
guy? He's just getting warmed up. You vote for him, John? And vote against this turkey. He's dangerous. A real man of the people. Sworn and acts. Can't they see through this guy?
I'm challenging you right here and now to join me, to join a growing army.
Do it, General. You're insane.
Do it. You're not the voice of the people. I am the voice of the people. The people speak through me, not you. Do it.
Complete the sequence, Mr. President.
Not necessary, Mr. President. We have a diplomatic solution.
The missiles are flying. The most exciting, the most important case.
Johnny! Don't!
Despite this current crisis, the president is putting on his best political face. 6 months ago, has plummeted since the hostage crisis began. The CNN Victoria's Secret catalog.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, I'm all right, no problem. I slipped in the crab. Who put that crab there? Don't tell me. There were two crabs. They work in pairs.
And I'm deeply proud of the work she's doing as First Lady with Joining Forces Initiative. She started with Michelle Obama when she was Vice President and now carries on. There's been a little change in the arrangement of who's on the stage because of the First Lady's husband contracting COVID. But look at this room and what you see. Pardon? That's right. She's fine. It's me.
Gotcha. Let's ring at the door. Looks like we've got our saboteur.
That's your wife, sir.
Huh? Yeah, so it is.
If he gets wind of this, he'll use it against you in the campaign. He'll try to prove that you're incompetent.
I can prove that as well as he can. Sabotage. My God, man, what does it mean?
Find out who's behind it.
No. The word sabotage. What does it mean?
That when they leave the saloon, the receptionist, the salon, they're maybe going to a saloon, I don't know. I caught part of President Putin's press conference, and he talked about the need for us to be able to have some kind of modus operandi where we dealt with making sure the Arctic was, in fact, a free zone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. As a joke. You didn't know where we were anyway.
But on a serious note, I'm here today at the,
How is the speech coming, sir?
Huh? Oh, I practiced my A's. Does this look like an A to you?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. Vice President Biden, Vice President. That was a joke.
President Benson. No, you're not. Seen him on television. He's an older man, about my height. With a word of advice, don't go around calling yourself the president. I wouldn't do that, and I don't think you should either. It just doesn't hold water. Target area?
It's Minnesota, sir.
Oh, damn it, man. That's the genius of my plan. We don't have to traipse all over the world to fight. We can do it right here at home.
Sir, the enemy is over there.
Then we'll fly them over here. They can bring their relatives. We'll teach them to ice skate. Do I have to think of everything?
My fellow Americans, words have many meanings, and sometimes instead of conveying our meaning, they can suggest other meanings.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Whatever we have in store cannot be known. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
We gotta take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
You need to get to go, and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
I hope that clarifies the issue, and this can be the last word on those words.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right, and that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled time.
So what you're seeing right now is a narrative again reemerging, but it's not a real narrative. It's fictional. The news is fake. It's not there to inform you. It's there to control you and manipulate your perceptions of reality. They want you to keep hearing this narrative about a Trump assassination. They're showing it to you. They've been telling you about it. They're playing roles. They're playing roles, and they've been waiting year after year after year. And the more support that Trump gets, the bigger effect an assassination would have on the public, where it wouldn't be a thing where, like when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, the country united. That would be a thing with Donald Trump where it would cause more division, because you'll see half the country celebrate it, because we've never seen people so invested in political figures, caring so much as if they know these figures. They've gaslit the Democrats so much that they hate Donald Trump more than anyone in the history of the earth. And they don't even realize why, because they're under hypnosis. The same with the conservatives who worship the ground that Trump walks on. They're under hypnosis. And a planned, staged Trump assassination would ignite this civil war. Now, I don't think it's going to come right around the election, but I think it's in the cards in the near future. I think they've been programming us for that. And when it happens, most people out there are going to expect it, because they're going to say, well, they've gone after him. They've taken him to court. They've slandered him in the media. They've gone after his family. It's par for the course at this point. People won't even be shocked if and when it happens, because they've already been programmed to accept it as reality. But the real truth of the matter is that it's a scripted reality that will cause a massive ripple effect on our society and our government structure when it goes down. You've even had Trump address it himself. So all those bull rushes on the stage, all those interviews with people like Tucker Carlson, all the other political figures who have been interviewed and talked about, well, what's next? Maybe they're going to assassinate Trump. Maybe they're greenlighting a Trump assassination. That's exactly right. And where do we hear that word greenlighting? We hear that word in Hollywood a lot, right? When they greenlight scripts that go into production, right? Well, you're in the middle of one right now. It's called the left-right paradigm. Republicans versus Democrats. All of them working together to move you, manipulate you, and herd you like cattle. Because remember, the people who are really responsible for this, in their books, you know, the people you can't question, they refer to us and look at all human beings as cattle. And right now, you're in a psychological operation if you're falling for the left-right divide. This is all scripted. This is all playing out as is. And don't forget that Abraham Lincoln narrative and that, you know, that video that another YouTuber sounded a lot like me did, showing you that Nutcracker clip where everybody was looking at it, looking for, oh, this is so embarrassing. This is what America has become. And they didn't even see how they were depicting Trump as the Mouse King being assassinated right in front of that Abraham Lincoln photo. And there's tons of programming with Trump and comparisons to Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War narrative and the assassination narrative. This is all scripted, folks. We'll see how it plays out. And keep in mind, after all this stuff with the Supreme Court, they are bringing this up over and over and over again about how presumptively he has the power to assassinate a rival, how Biden has the power to do this. And of course, if they do something along those lines, all conservatives will think that it's Biden and his regime and the DOJ, and they'll deny it, and it'll just cause utter chaos. Remember their motto, order out of chaos. And have seen the dozens of videos I put out about the predictive programming with a Trump assassination attempt. I've said from the get-go it would be a faked assassination attempt. I am not a prophet. I don't claim to be a prophet. I have not been given a vision from God like these other people on YouTube claim. But apparently, Christians have become so gullible that they believe that people recording in their basement or in their living room saying things that just come into their head are prophecies from God. And we've seen over the last few days a lot of Christian pastors and ministers coming out, even talking about a guy who claimed in March to have a vision and a prophecy from God that Trump would be shot. Well, guess where this all came from? This all came from what is called predictive programming. They have been telling you over the years that Donald Trump is going to have an assassination attempt on his life. In the video that I've played many times, the compilation of clips, Donald Trump playing the character of Martin Sheen from The Dead Zone, all of the clips of celebrities talking about killing Trump, all of the mainstream media talking about how Donald Trump would be better off dead because he's a threat to democracy. None of these people seem to understand that they've been programmed into this. So for those of you that haven't seen how this works, let me show it to you quickly. Let me start here with the Republican National Convention so you can see the truth right in front of your faces. The Republicans are on stage for this entire day talking about the notion of making America wealthy again. And again, they're pandering to Christians who should not be seeking wealth. But this is what they're talking about, right? Right behind them, while they're all talking, is what? It's the pyramid. And the capstone on the pyramid is not being shown, the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, because it's replaced by all of these Republicans on the monitor on the screen deliberately who are going on screen and serving as that capstone. So instead of seeing Lucifer's all-seeing eye, which we see on the back of the dollar bill, you're seeing every one of these Republicans put on a monitor right above where the capstone would normally be. And of course, what is on the screen behind all of these conservative Christians who are up there pandering to Christians, deceiving Christians? It says, a new order of the ages. That's what that means on the back of the dollar bill, which you could see right on the screen. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which most people out there will never take the time to actually research what it means, but a new order of the ages, as in a new world order of the ages is born. And this is occurring right in front of the faces of all of these conservatives who claim to be Christian, who refuse to believe that they're being deceived. But the Bible warns us about deception many times. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So we can all look at the Sinclair Broadcasting clip. Pretty much every single person can look at it and roll their eyes and say it's cringy, right? That every single local news market is reading off of the same script. But why is it that Christians can't see that they're being deceived as well? Why is it that they can't see that the conservative media, especially 48 hours after Donald Trump's scripted assassination attempt, is luring them into a deception? Listen to all of these conservatives talking over and over and over again. And the key terms that they use are just like the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, right? Donald Trump was chosen by God. Divine intervention. God stepped in to save America because Donald Trump is the only one to save America. This is propaganda 101. And the fact that Christians are falling for this is frightening. Look at this compilation of clips just from the last 2 days. The last 2 days. This is how many of the same talking points are out there.
The devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared!
You don't get slight grazes to the ear. I mean, that is divine intervention, that he was not, mortally wounded.
Fate stepped in, God, the hand of God, call it whatever you like.
Evil came for the man we admire and love. I thank God that his hand was on President Trump.
The fact that this is about milliseconds and millimeters that changes this from being an attempt and an assassination should really talk about the divine intervention that has occurred here.
Trump is truly blessed by the hand of God, being able to evade
being assassinated.
And we thank him for protecting our next president, Donald J. Trump.
It was a clear assassination attempt. I think there was maybe some divine intervention.
If you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now.
It was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening.
So that was truly divine intervention as far as I'm concerned.
It's having everybody on the internet saying this is divine intervention. Every frame of the attempted assassination is nothing short of proof that it was divine intervention.
We מסתכל on President Trump. God must have been watching down on the president.
I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country.
I'll say that, in my opinion, probably the most famous NFL catch in history is called the Immaculate Reception. I call this the Immaculate Protection. I believe that there was divine intervention to make sure nothing happened to this man. It's extraordinary.
But let's just be real. Donald Trump is anointed by God. Whether you believe in God or not, he had a divine intervention that saved his life. And you can call me crazy, but I think that's the only thing that truly saved Donald Trump. And now he's going to have more support than he's ever had.
Willie, you're right. He's been posting on his Truth Social account. Here's his latest post. It came in just moments ago. Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday. It was God alone, he said, who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness.
Well, when God shows up that clearly, it's hard for even the biggest detractors to deny it. They go, what did I just watch? You just watched God turn Donald Trump's head, literally. We all just watched it. I mean, think about God making his presence known. I mean, on the biggest possible story you ever could. Now you've got people going, okay, I believe it. I believe it. Because how do you deny that?
And again, that right there is a pattern that you're seeing, right? You're hearing people in the crowd, they're roaring, they're screaming, they're somehow correlating Jesus Christ with Donald Trump. And they think that an event like that occurs could not be staged or rigged or fictionalized. When in fact, the news itself is fake. And these are the same people who call the news fake, right? They say that it's fake, but then when they see something acted out in front of them, they don't realize that the news is fake and scripted. And it doesn't just include people's opinions and talking points on television. It includes all of the stuff that they do in front of green screens that they show us, including wars, and it includes staging events like that. So people go, how do you stage something like that? They don't even think for 5 seconds what the FBI and the CIA actually do and what your tax money goes towards. It's very easy to stage something like that. You're already under hypnosis when you're watching television, and you're also automatically perceiving what you're seeing as happening in real time, in reality, as if the TV itself is your own actual eyeballs. So why is it hard to put people in place to stage an actual fake shooting event? Now, does that mean that people aren't shot? Of course not. Of course people can be shot, but they're not shot by who they say they're shot by. There's gonna be people caught in the line of fire, as the saying goes. There were people caught in the line of fire on the 11th day of September, were there not? There's always people caught in the line of fire. That's what makes people's minds not able to accept when you say something is staged. Because they hear the word staged and then they think that everybody in the background is an actor, that everybody involved is an actor, and everything here is an actor, and this and that. But what about the victim? Well, of course there's a victim, because the victim makes you think, then how could it be staged? Well, this is how it works. When the government puts a sniper in place and there's real people who show up at an event like this, somebody's going to be a casualty most of the time. It happens in a lot of these staged events that happen in schools, in grocery stores. Sometimes there's real victims. And it happens to real victims. Manchurian candidates are real. Mind control is real. And I'm going to play for you this clip of a Catholic Jesuit pastor that they bring out on stage, as you'll hear the crowd chanting, "We love Trump." And you can see how this hypnosis is enhanced after this staged event. Because if you can't understand why they would stage something like that, then you're not paying attention. Because the more support that these characters get, the more invested you get in them, the more you're going to fall for the deception. And the deception is going to be something that you think you're freely making the decision to do because you're so invested emotionally in this. Nobody out there knows Donald Trump. Nobody out there has met Donald Trump, other than maybe if some of the people out there have shook his hand as he's walked by. But all of these people think, because of the hypnosis they're under, that Donald Trump is a member of their family, that Donald Trump is anointed by God, all through mind control. And somehow They believe they are independently making these decisions on their own, not realizing that the repetition that they're seeing is making them go out there and repeat these talking points, right? They tell a friend and they tell a friend and so on. And how many people out there have you heard in the last couple of days use this same line? Divine intervention, God save Trump, pray for Trump's family. All these things they're putting into your head. And the same mainstream media that all these people were condemning for years and years and years are doing the same thing to them. CNN's doing it, NBC's doing it, and they're not suspicious at all. They're going, well, they're doing the right thing finally because, it got too serious. But for years they've been calling for his head. Now, let me play this Jesuit pastor who comes out because, of course, he's laughing and mocking prayer as everybody in the crowd laughs because he's mocking how Trump talks and about blessings. But even he comes out and tells everybody out there that God intervened. And this is how deception works because people see him. They say he's a preacher, he's a priest. He's talking about how God intervened. God must have intervened because that's how easy it is these days to manipulate
Chairman
people.
Michael Whatley.
And if I may, before the benediction, give you this promise. You're going to be so blessed. You're going to be tired of being blessed. I guarantee it. We give thanks to you for keeping President Trump safe. We pray for the families of those affected by the demonic violence at the rally on Saturday. And we pray you would send your holy angels to guard and keep President Trump from all harm and danger.
And again, one of the most telling things that I've shown that everybody out there has heard, they don't even realize it. When Trump is reading the poem about the snake, he's talking about himself. That's who Trump is talking about. And it's coming. The deception is coming. And think about the hypnosis and how it's working and how all of these people have listened to Donald Trump say this and they don't realize that he's talking about himself.
I have saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
So it's incredible that people can hear him use this poem over and over and over again and not correlate it with himself being the snake from the beginning. Himself, because of the fruits that he's shown over the years, his flip-flopping in politics. They chose Donald Trump because they knew that they could use somebody like him because of how good he is on the microphone, because he'll be able to act out the things that we're all feeling about what the government is currently doing. And people go, well, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do? I got to vote for him versus the other guy. You're in a simulation. Your vote doesn't count. The news is not real. And they're trying to get you more invested in this simulation so that you do as you're told after the November 5th election occurs.
Your living room is the factory. The product being manufactured is you.
Introducing your new Captain America. I'm sure, coincidentally enough, 24 hours before this supposed attempt on Donald Trump's life occurred, a trailer was released for a new Captain America movie. And when this trailer came out, I was planning on doing a video in regards to the plot. But thankfully, the government decided to create a psychological operation right before I did that video, so it's going to tie in very nicely with the theater that they're putting on in front of us. Now, most of you, I understand, who are like me, who understand that the left and right is completely controlled, working together to create this civil war. The politicians, the civilians, are completely under hypnosis, falling for this government-created illusion of a left and right, as if your vote counts, keeping everyone divided. Remember their motto, divide and conquer. And you're all probably dealing with people who are disagreeing. In fact, I'm getting people stumbling upon my videos who think that they're awake and are red-pilled, who in fact are very upset at the notion that the government would stage an event, and it wouldn't be an actual real event involving Donald Trump. Of course, these are the same people who will find my content and find other people's content and call these events that happen at schools fake. But when it comes to their hero, Donald Trump, they refuse to believe that the government would actually stage something involving Donald Trump to make him look like an even bigger hero. And what you're seeing is that the left and right are getting more angry at people who are not buying into their left-right paradigm. In other words, the left and right hate one another, but when they find out there's people like us who think that both sides are completely controlled, it makes them even angrier to realize that we're not choosing a side, because they want you to be involved in the psychosis. They want you to be on a side. And if you're not on a side, it's out of their realm of comprehension that you couldn't choose a side in this, that you actually think that both sides are controlled. They can't process that. So if you didn't see and you haven't heard this trailer from Captain America: Brave New World, I'm going to play a clip for you from this trailer. And keep in mind as I play for you this clip, the narrative that's beginning to unfold revolving Donald Trump. The Secret Service, the stories that are out there, even Elon Musk posting about extreme incompetence of the Secret Service, or was it deliberate? Did the Secret Service allow this person on a rooftop to go after Trump? And when you keep that in mind when you're watching this trailer, you'll see that this trailer is eerily similar to everything that just occurred, because everything that just occurred is scripted. Look at this plot for Captain America: Brave New World, and the theme of an attempted assassination on the president, Harrison Ford, because that's the plot, and how his inner circle is likely compromised as global power is shifting. You can't make it up.
Wilson. They said lose the mustache or lose the election. Making Captain America an official military position. Work with me, Sam. We'll show the world a better way forward. Sir, your inner circle's been compromised. Either you can't see that, or you don't want to.
Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn. Global power is shifting.
Sir, your inner circle's been compromised.
So the plot looks very eerily similar to what unfolded 24 hours later, but I'm sure that's just a mere coincidence. That's not predictive programming, right? I mean, what do people out there who are in this psychosis think? Well, they don't think at all. They're too caught up emotionally, and they're invested emotionally in this because, again, they can't realize that this whole idea of the deep state that they've created through the media is part of the trap. You see, there is an existence of a deep state. The deep state is real. They don't need to be called the deep state. You can call them the Illuminati. You can call them the New World Order. Call them whatever you want, right? The puppeteers, the people who pull the strings, the people who create these psychological operations. Of course, they're real, but this notion of Donald Trump and the conservatives fighting the deep state is the psychosis that they're keeping you in. They're feeding you this so that you think that you're red-pilled and you're awake, but you're in the psychosis still. And the fact that this film is called Captain America: Brave New World should not fall on death's door either, because the novel Brave New World, which many people out there, everybody's familiar with 1984. Not many people are familiar with the novel Brave New World. The novel examines a futuristic society called the World State that revolves around science and efficiency. Sound familiar? In this society, emotions and individuality are conditioned out of children at a young age, and there are no lasting relationships because everyone belongs to everyone else. Kind of like what you're seeing in today's community, communism society, right? So after seeing that trailer, trending #3 on YouTube, right? Seeing the theme of the election and the president almost being assassinated and a new world order coming after him. Boy, it sounds eerily familiar to the guy who's supposedly fighting the new world order, right? Who couldn't be more of a polarizing figure by design, because again, to prevent a real revolution from occurring, civilians who have had enough of what they're seeing going on, well, to prevent that from happening, there needs to be placeholders, the gatekeepers, the alt-right media, Donald Trump, keeping civilians from realizing that this whole thing is compromised, that your vote doesn't count, that you shouldn't critically think that the elections are not rigged, they're not real, that you're in a psychological operation. By keeping you in a psychological operation, they, of course, can herd you and move you and maneuver you. And like I said earlier, more people are upset about people like me and you who don't believe in the left-right paradigm than they are of the opposition. So in other words, conservatives hate liberals. But when you tell them that you're not involved, that you don't vote, that you don't believe this, it blows their mind. It makes them angrier than even seeing a Democrat who votes for Biden, because they want you to be a part of their game. They won't wake up from the psychosis they're under, and they refuse to believe that they're being manipulated. These are the same people, of course, who think that they're actually awake. Now,
let's get to the main industrial, social, political, public theory, the deep state. And everyone's trying to take out Trump because he's the only one that really got our back. Now, this is a very popular perspective. It makes so much sense, especially if you analyze what happened the other day. It makes so much sense. It's the only theory that actually makes sense. But there's many ways to refute it. But then there's just one clear red flag. A particular individual who's leading the charge when it comes to pushing this theory. And I think you guys might know who he is. So as soon as I saw this man speaking, I already knew.
Months on air, they're going to try to kill Trump. And when they try to kill Trump, they're going to go after everybody else that is his top supporters. And they also will try to kill Biden and blame it on a Trump supporter. That's coming next. Make no mistake, the same deep state that's behind Biden, that's trying to make him step down, was behind this today. They're now reporting it was an Antifa shooter who's now been killed. How convenient is that the supposed shooter has been killed? Ladies and gentlemen, our republic is in maximum danger right now. The deep state is desperate. They are in trouble. They're going to try to expand wars. They can do power outages. They can do cyber attacks. We're in such a dangerous position. And I've noticed with all the viral videos out there, it's like, oh, he took a bullet for America. He's going to get reelected now. Ladies and gentlemen, the deep state did this. Make no mistake.
Really now? That's what we're supposed to believe. Okay.
And that lets you know they're going for broke. Do you fucking understand?
Ooh, spicy.
What I'm telling you. Take this deadly serious, just like war with Russia. They are going to try to kill Trump again. Now that they didn't kill him once, they are completely desperate. And I'm going to tell you again, Biden won't step down. The deep state will probably kill him or try to kill him in the next few days and blame it on a Trump supporter. And we may see massive terror attacks in America that are blamed on Trump supporters. They've been pre-programming it. They've been preparing. I've been telling you, imminent assassination attempt on Trump every damn day. Because that's what a dying, corrupt establishment does when their back is against the wall.
Really now, Mr. Jones? What happened to the way you just slithered out of the whole Candy Book scenario? What about the way you, I believe, were used to do the whole Candy Book scenario? So an entire new movement against truth speakers was created to the degree that all of these new algorithms have been developed and caused a rift in our communities. And now we can hardly even be found. Now we can hardly even get people to hear what we're saying. Yet you've become this world famous billionaire. Allegedly, you had to give up your InfoWars. I don't believe any of that crap. What happened to Jade Helm? I remember back in 2015, I was listening on pins and needles every day to the words you were saying. What about all of those coffins, man? Well, all of this crap. Oh no, the world's gonna end. Every year, oh, the economy's crashing. I'm sick and tired of the crap this dude has been saying. He was saying some truth around 2009, 2007 to 2009, maybe into 2012. Nothing but nonsense ever since. Designed to mislead, to misinform, to in a sense, obscure the truth community. We're not falling for this crap. It's ridiculous.
It means the globalists are going to go for broke. It means they know their time is up.
Really, man? Really? Come on, guys. Really? Their time is up. The people are going to win. We're going to get together with Trump and we're going to win. Come on, man. Oh, this guy's I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. We're not going for it, man. We're not going for it. Sorry. We've dealt with enough of this. You've gotten us in enough trouble with the whole candy book scenario that you just backed out of and made all of us look like a bunch of idiots. But we're still standing strong.
So all the conservatives out there, from Tom McDonald coming out with a song in less than 24, it was actually almost 16 hours after this event occurred, that Tom McDonald not only has a song written called You Miss that's trending on YouTube, but he also had a music video done in the middle of the night. I guess he called everybody up and he got this all put together really, really quick. I mean, this is a production. This isn't like me pressing mic on a microphone where I live and recording and putting pictures on the screen, which I could do relatively quickly. This is millions of views as a rap song with a beat. I mean, it's incredible that people don't realize how staged all of this is. And we're seeing people riled up more than ever. And they're...
And he missed! We were a second away! We were a centimeter away from half of the problem being gone, and you missed!
Oh, shut up, silly woman.
It's fake, phony, fake. And we're seeing people riled up more than ever. And they're...
I will bleed! I will bleed Trump 2020! I will bleed MAGA, and I will die for Donald Trump. I'll take a bullet to my head 1,000 times for my president, Donald J. Trump. Liberals, come get me. Liberals, come attack me right now. I'm waiting for you. I will die on the hill of Trump. I would have taken a bullet from that soy boy anytime, but we had some lesbian protecting our president, our beloved, the Lord's anointed. But what happened? God stopped that bullet. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see Trump 2024? Did y'all see that? Did you see my chest? I just got tatted earlier. That's right. I bleed red, white, and blue.
It's fake, phony, fake.
This is from 1995, the Enough is Enough card. We know this is, once again, Donald Trump's famous slogan that he used much later. Enough is enough. And here's the actual box of cards that it came in. The master pack with multiple cards inside. And getting back to the card itself, the Enough card. I mean, obviously, one and the same. And take a look at the actual card and the text itself. Like I showed in my previous video, it states, at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. So again, this is what you call predictive programming. And like I said before in my previous video, I've covered this many times with this particular card, going way back in time. So this is nothing new when it comes to the Illuminati card game.
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero? And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. Enough was enough.
I will bleed Trump 2020. I will bleed MAGA, and I will die for Donald Trump.
And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Hey, look at this! Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Take it down, Mr. Oh, my God! Let Trumpomania rule again.
Liberals, come get me.
Right? Everybody talks about the Matrix. Everybody talks about a simulated reality. They don't realize what it is. They just say it. They're like, simulated reality. The simulated reality is the perception that the stuff on the news is real, to blur your viewpoints of what's happening in the world and to move you, maneuver you, and manipulate you. And that's what you're seeing with the left-right divide. Listen to this clip from the Rubin Report.
Check out some of these mainstream media headlines.
as to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Washington Post. Trump escorted away after loud noises. Pennsylvania rally. CNN. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. USA Today. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises. Startles former president crowd. NBC. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises heard at his Pennsylvania rally. CNN. Trump injured in incident at rally. LA Times. Trump whisked off stage in Pennsylvania after loud noises rang through the crowd. Forbes. Oh, and this one, look at this. This is an editorial. Will surviving gunfire be Donald Trump's next appeal to black voters? Forbes did end up deleting that one, and it's under their subtitle. They have a subsection on their website for diversity and inclusion, which is insane. But my God, guys, my God, this is where we are at. So if you have a friend that still reads Washington Post or watches CNN or pays attention to the New York Times or any of these things, like, this is it, guys. This is the actual breaking point right now. It might be an entire breaking point for a country, but at least in the media lens, how do we all visualize reality? Right? There's reality. Reality exists, period. Reality is just something that exists, right? The nature of the universe. There's something happening here. We're all part of it, right? That's reality. What the media is supposed to do is give you a lens so you're able to have some ballpark sense of what reality is. Did any of those headlines sound right to you? And would it have written any of those headlines that way had it been Barack Obama or Joe Biden or quite literally any other Democrat? And what's even more amazing about them writing those headlines is they still think they're going to get away with it.
So he's giving us a lecture on what the media is supposed to do. They're supposed to give you a lens so that we can have a ballpark perspective of what's real and what's really happening, right? But they don't talk about the lens itself being controlled, because that's what this is all about. That's what I've been talking about for years. The actual lens, because we automatically give credence to the news that it's real because we're seeing it acted out in front of us. Everybody thinks this whole term fake news has something to do with, well, Donald Trump, it's fake news because the media calls Donald Trump a criminal, right? And then the other side calls people like me and you fake news because we question what's actually in the news, right? But everybody should be questioning the lens we're seeing it from. Why is it out of the realm of possibility for a bunch of psychopaths who are Republican and Democrat to take the lens that we're looking at things through and manipulate it and to say this is what's happening, but never to think for 1 second that they could stage it? Like I said previously, the problem people seem to be having is that if there's an actual victim, they don't want to believe. This is what we're seeing with the conservatives, with the guy who was supposedly shot at the event, right? They're getting angry that anyone will call it fake because somebody was shot. That's the same thing that Democrats do with the school events, right? When we all call it fake, we're like, well, nobody really was. And some of them, because in some of the events, the people that they put on screen are already dead. They're not even alive. They're not even real. They're Photoshop. They're done through AI. Hello? Have you seen some of the deep fakes out there? Now people don't want to believe the government. They're 50 years, 100 years in advance with the tech that they have. So just being able to see some of these deep fakes of Keanu Reeves should make people say, whoa, it's scary how easily they could dupe people. Right. So when they tell you that there's these victims that no one ever knows, why is it hard to dupe that? Why is it hard to create in a photo app, a Photoshop app, children and say that they went to some school? Oh, because it's wicked and evil to think that way? Well, guess what? These people are wicked beyond your comprehension. So, right? Why are we looking at it as conservative people out there? Why are you, I should say, because I'm not one of them. Why are conservatives looking at this and getting angry? Because it's the same exact thing that the other side was feeling. They're doing it to both of you. They're working you both. They're manipulating you. Just like a psychotic ex-girlfriend or boyfriend has probably done to some of you in the past. You're being manipulated by the government. Should that surprise you? Do you trust these people? Democrats look at Republicans in Congress like these guys are sleazeballs. Okay, they're right. And Republicans look at Democrats and call them sleazeballs. They're right. They're all sleazeballs. They're all manipulating you, right? And now what we're seeing is the conservatives looking at this and they're getting angry that anybody's questioning if there was a victim or not. Now, I don't know if there was or not, but I'd like an open investigation. right? But I can't just go by a photo of a guy in the newspaper and then them showing me, a picture of him on the news with a balloon that says he turned 50 or anything else. I can't go by it because it's not enough evidence to show someone a picture. But for this world, these people who all have been trained to watch true crimes and want investigations into this and that, they're okay with just being shown it and then gaslit with the story. They just accept it as reality, right? So the conservatives are mad that the Democrats are questioning the validity of this event. And then you have guys like this, Dom LaCree, who I didn't know of until now, right? Here's a guy, another one of these alt-right guys who they claim that they're canceled and they get canceled, they get censored. None of these people do. This guy's over 1 million people that follow a guy who's completely stuck in the matrix, believing in Trump, believing in Biden, believing in the simulated reality, right? Talking about, he says, quote, I'm urging all my fellow creators to help me start creating cases on all of them on behalf of the families that were injured or killed at the rally. I only want to seek $1 billion in damages for the MAGA family since nobody is against the law, right? So he, in a way, is mocking the entire thing that happened with Alex Jones, which I warned about. I told everybody about Alex Jones, COINTELPRO. Most of you already know. Some of the newbies don't know. People who think that they're red-pilled follow Alex Jones. They don't realize that he's COINTELPRO. It's a government op. You're all being herded into it. The common theme is believing in the left-right, okay? Jones went to court and laid down in court to set a precedent. If anybody was a real truther and they got brought to court for that Sandy event, they could have brought up, we're talking about hundreds of documents of evidence that would have made people around the country go, whoa, right? Just for example, we had a father at the event who was a grieving father, and 5 minutes later was caught on camera as an FBI agent, right? Now, it wasn't that he was both, because he didn't go on TV, I'm an FBI agent, my kid was just killed. He was playing dual roles. That's how obvious it was, not to mention the laughing actors, the father, it was unbelievable. So if I, for example, was taken to court, I would have brought all this stuff up. Alex Jones went to court and he just said, I made it up for views. Oh, okay, and he laid down because that was what was supposed to be done to set a precedent. And now Dom LaCree, a conservative, is asking for the same thing. Now, they could send my thing there to Dom LaCree, have a great time. You want to bring me to court? I want an open investigation. I want real evidence. I want to see the background of these people. I want to see the connection between BlackRock and the shooter, all of it. The problem that they have, and they're so unhinged right now, is that it's their guy. It's their guy. And they're believing in the news, right? So in a sense, it's tick for tack, right? This guy, Dom LaCree, is calling on people because he's mad what happened with cancel culture and taking Alex Jones to court, right? This guy's not realizing, unless he's an agent, that it was done by design to set a precedent so that people like him do monkey see, monkey do. So everybody cancels each other out, right? So I would love to be on the list. Okay, you take me to court, go ahead. I will bring up everything I brought up for years. I'll bring up the fact that I've had over 1 million subs combined. I've had probably more channels than any YouTuber in the history of YouTube with over 100,000 subs. Most people are finding my channel like, who is this guy? What's he saying? There's a reason I'm silenced, okay? And the reason that people like this aren't. And it's not because I'm jealous because I want to be popular. It's because these people are gatekeepers, okay? Whether they realize it or they don't. Okay? And I'll be able to reach a large audience if you bring me to court over this, a large audience of people. And a lot of people go, I remember him. Where has he been? And they'll all be excited to hear my voice again. And they'll be excited to hear a voice of reason in a time of chaos where nobody can figure out the psychological aspect of it. So conservatives, and this isn't a shot on the guy, Dom LaCree, because this could just be a regular guy who's under the hypnosis, or it could be a government agent. But this mindset is a problem, okay? This is setting a precedent of you being able to question the news or not. And guess what the common theme is with these news stories at all these schools and Donald Trump's event? There's no trial. The evidence you're presented is coming from the news. That's it. Word of mouth. Oh, the FBI couldn't get his cell phone record. Oh, that's not suspicious. Well, of course it's suspicious. They want you to be suspicious of the story so that you go down a rabbit hole, an endless rabbit hole. You don't realize that the news is fake, so you keep trying to figure out who's the killer, who's he related to, blah, 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 blah. Just go into CIA operations about mind control Manchurian candidates and then figure out who all these shooters are. Realize why they never lived to tell a story, right? There's never a story, right? But there's never a trial. That's the point. There's never evidence presented. The evidence is what the news tells you. Oh, and so saw somebody there. Oh, and then they have crisis actors on the scene. How convenient. And they tell us a tale and they weave a story at every one of these events. And we're supposed to take it verbatim as if we know these people. That's hypnotism, okay? And there's no evidence provided. Look at these things like you look at the true crime documentaries. I use true crime because it's so popular these days, and I see how into it people get. And I say to myself, why don't they look at the news the same way? Right? They don't. They don't. And then when I tell them that, they're like, well, yeah, I guess it's a good point. If it's not a good point, it's a great point. It should be the only point. Why are we trusting any of these people? Why are conservatives now so butthurt over Democrats? Democrats are under mind control. I'm trying to help people get out of the mind control. They think it's like a personal attack on them because they're loyal to their party. They don't understand basic communist propaganda, how the Communist Manifesto was written, the same exact way things are acting and carrying out right now. But look at this stuff and say to yourself, what are you doing? What is everybody doing by trying to cancel out the other side? Now we're offended because Democrats are questioning the news. They're like, well, they're questioning the news. They're questioning Donald Trump, and that's not fair. Everybody should question the news, and the government doesn't want you to. And that's why they're setting a precedent here. And that's why the gatekeeping alt-right is out there screaming about censorship of Democrats, suing Democrats, giving them a dose of their own medicine, when the Democrats are under mind control. And they should be seeing this from the Republicans and the stuff that just was presented to them as truth with Donald Trump and be saying, you know what? Maybe the news is fake. Maybe they are all in on it together. That's the way everyone should be thinking right now. And now the conservatives are getting propped up. They're more unhinged than the Democrats were. They are eating this up hook, line, and sinker. They are getting baited, and they think that they're freely thinking. They are deeper in the hypnosis, I think, at this point, the Democrats are. I didn't realize the MAGA hypnosis was this bad because, I don't see this around me every single day. I don't live among MAGA. I don't have MAGA friends, okay? But when I saw what happened with this attempt and I saw how Christians have responded, their mind control is equally as bad. Both sides. It's the news that's doing this to you. They say, well, the media is the enemy of the state. I keep saying that, right? They say the media is the enemy of the state only when the narrative doesn't fit their narrative.
Only against the fake news media or press. Fake. They have to leave that word. I'm against the people that make up stories and make up sources. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. So I'm not against the media. I'm not against the press.
Instead of saying, the media is the enemy of the state, they make up the news. Why? So they can create a false perception of reality. Imagine the Amish. They don't know any of this is going on because they don't have technology. Smartest ones out there. People are like, that's weird. That's strange. Oh, yeah. If you didn't own a TV or didn't own a phone, would you even know this happened to Trump? No. Would you know who Donald Trump was? No. If Donald Trump was against the deep state, not only would he have been gone a long time ago, he never would be featured in the news every day. Every one of these stories on the liberal-run media, they know it's to garner support of Trump. They know how the mind works. They've been studying it for a long time. Let's go back to Operation Paperclip and all the scientists that came here with the intent of operating mind control experiments on the United States of America civilians, right? Now it's mastered. So you look at it from that standpoint and you say, okay, well, you don't think that they know that by constantly on the liberal media, they sound like idiots, they sound insane, that the majority of civilians are going to call it fake news and say these people are, and that by doing that and saying the stuff they say that you don't think that they know that more people are going to support Trump? That's the point. That's the point. And what comes in the election, which I'll cover, too big to be rigged, is going to be huge. Because just imagine what I've been telling you for a while of how they're going to pull the rug out of that red wave. And everyone's going to say that everything's rigged and everything's fixed, so we need to change everything. Because that's what the globalists want, is change of the infrastructure. And the conservatives are going to fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. People need to stop canceling free speech. And this is them saying, that's not free speech. That's not fair that they're calling this attempt on Trump a hoax. And that's what the government wants. You are not going to be able to question the news, and they're going to be able to feed you propaganda every second of every day, which is what they're doing right now. But they don't want people like you and me out there waking up minds. That's the problem to them. That's the only thing that stands between them and world domination. I thank you for being here, everybody. Hope you're all well. God bless you as always and your families.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. It's fake, phony, fake.